And what's going on, Conqueror League? This is Titan Esports. Oh, wait, second. I'm sorry. I purposely switched that up and I wasn't expecting to. Hey, welcome to Titan Esports on this beautiful Wednesday night. Unless you're up north where it's looking kind of like a little bit of Narcos, you know, because the Canadian wildfires, absolutely insane. This is Conqueror League. I am your play-by-play caster, Malco, joined today for the color cast here. Freedom Potatoes, welcome back. You were missed last week. We did have a banger of a cast, but it's never the same without the main duo on top here for Wednesday nights. So how are you doing today, man?
Doing good, doing good. Yeah, I had to miss last week because we had a rescheduled game, and now we're regular season for Vank just wrapped up. Our team is undefeated, so feeling pretty good. Feeling hyped for today's match though, where we've got some real playoff tension on the line here with Mint TTT going up against Conduit Esports Phoenix.
And after last week with Conduit Esports Phoenix, I think that a lot of people who are either watching the stream or kind of have already seen what the results were for last week, they're probably looking at it and saying like, all right, this is looking like maybe a potential clean 2-0. But I do want to give you guys a little bit more of a glimpse into what happened last week with CPX before we kind of just write them off as, hey, these guys are done. They're going to be out of the season as soon as they lose these games. Like, no, you don't write them off just yet, because there were glimpses from the side of CPX that actually did give them some edges amongst the against DOGI last week during the early game, and it just was unfortunate that they couldn't really take those early game leads and transition them into something that would actually have led to a game victory, because there was multiple times even during like game 1 and game 2 of that series where it felt like as if they were going to be able to turn things around, and unfortunately due to some unfortunate late game calls, they ended up losing to them. But I do think that CPX has the ability to maybe make something happen here. We have seen David versus Goliath situations before, in the sense that Mint TTT right now, they know they just got to win this. And I'm sure that carrying that energy for themselves of, hey, if we just win, we're in playoffs. We clinch it, we're ready to go, and then we don't have to worry as much about the last week for week 7 and worry about all these crazy potential tiebreakers that can actually come up if CPX can get the big upset tonight and be able to take this series for themselves. So with that said, do you have any thoughts, Freedom, before we get into draft on in regards to this particular series?
I mean, yeah, CPX, they need this win if they want to make playoffs. For Mint, it's a little more complicated. If they win, it's guaranteed. If they lose, then yeah, it might go to those tiebreakers. And this is one of those rare situations where whether it's if Conduit does win, 2-0 versus 2-1 really matters for Mint as well. I think every game matters. You can't afford to just give one away. And I do think I would favor Mint going into this, a little bit. Just on paper, they have higher ranked players, only a slightly better game score though. They have one more win, one more loss in the games, likewise in the matches. So it might be closer than some people are thinking, but I would give Mint a little bit of the edge, maybe a Mint 2-1 going into this. We'll see.
I would definitely say it's probably more of a 2-1 situation here. Again, both teams, one, wanting to try to play their best, but at the same time, also, there's definitely some nerves there. I wouldn't be surprised if Mint TTT do end up surprisingly 2-0ing. Again, as you said, that Mint TTT does have some slight rank advantage over the side of CPX, which can sometimes be discouraging to other players. Like, there are some players who do get into their head about that type of thing. And especially if something like, say, the jungle gets gapped in any way, shape, or form, that just feels terrible. If top lane gets gapped, which is where I think was the biggest weak point last week for the side of CPX, personally to me, was the matchup in the top side, because Cali G versus Stubby, Stubby definitely had some showings, especially with being able to take some solo kills in the game, but it still didn't necessarily translate to anything, as Cali G was just a stable force for the side of Iota. I would definitely say that it's going to take a lot from the side of CP. They're going to have to fight like really hard if they're going to have any hopes of being able to still keep their playoff berth alive. But Mint TTT right now is also going to have to play with extreme discipline and make sure that they can take this series, because the last thing you want is to, one, lose the series against a team that you're expected to potentially win against. If it even is a 2-1 win, you're expected to win against. I would also think that would honestly put a little bit of nerves on the players' backs. They just kind of hopefully will be able to make things work. As we get in the chat saying Jake well gapped them all, and I'm curious to see how true that's going to be here. Because you know what, I actually want to see how the jungle matchup will be versus Nasion versus Will Show Them All. I've actually casted Will Show Them All a few times before in the previous season, and they were actually someone who I was always actually seen pretty stand out personally. And then, but Nasion definitely not someone to slouch on. I would definitely say just be ready for what they got to go. So if you guys are done with my yapping, I would say let's go ahead and let's put it to the draft if we are ready for it. And Freedom Potatoes, I'll let you go ahead and talk a little bit more on what's going on with how you feel about these upcoming matchups. I'm ready whenever they are.
Yeah, I think the mid jungle matchup between these two teams is going to be huge. I mean, we'll show them all a very solid jungler, like you said, like an Apex player going up against someone who's, basically a full division below them on paper, or at least was at the start of the season. But there's been plenty of time to learn. And I think Albino Sunbear's champion pool matches great if you have a standout jungler. We've got, you've got Orianna in there, you've got Ari, Silas, Galio, all these champions that really like the mid jungle 2v2 and can reinforce someone who's going for aggressive plays in the river in the enemy jungle, and so that's something that Conduit's going to have to be ready for. But Darrison has been a standout mid laner for me in a lot of previous Conqueror seasons. Haven't gotten to see him play in this one yet, I don't think, but has been a very reliable performer, putting up big KD numbers, tons of damage on usually on control mages. So I think definitely a little bit of a different style in the mid lane for these two players. And I think it's going to be in a lot of cases, if Darrison can get through that early to mid game phase, may be able to put more value out on the table for Conduit.
And I think in a sense, Conduit is just gonna want to look to just play more stable than last week. It was consistently, honestly, what really happened to them was there was consistent pickoffs onto the jungle and onto Stubby in the top side that was constantly allowing them to just fall behind more and more with that top in jungle matchup. So I think that really what CPX is going to want to do here is try to stabilize that top jungle matchup, try to make sure that Stubby doesn't fall behind, doesn't lose solo in the lane, like just get drop solo kills. And Risen, actually, as you said, is a very stable mid laner and is able to consistently, I feel, is actually able to be consistently performing. So if anything, play to that top side matchup, because the bot lane last week actually showed that they were able to go 2 for 2 with the other bot laners from the side of Dorado Gaming Iota up until those late game fights where things kind of just fell apart. And I've seen this not even just in like this particular league, even multiple leagues that I've casted, where there's teams that are like, you see their early game and it's like, damn, they got a damn good early game and they can really play. They know how to, they transition pretty decently to mid, but then for some reason the mid game, the macro, playing around the objectives just starts to somewhat fall apart. And this is what CPX wants to avoid. They want to try to have stronger macro play. They want to try to beat to the objectives first, because a lot of the time they were losing because they lost vision and they were losing the setup that they needed to get in order to be able to take objectives and kind of control the pacing of the map. So as we look here, we're right into the draft, everyone, as you guys have long awaited. But we were seeing on the side of CPX, the first ban is going to be the Galio, the Wukong, the Mel, as you mentioned. And then we're going to have on the side of Mint, Ash, Viego, and Locke. I just want to also point out that we do see up in the top side that is actually going to be Void, who is going to be the sub for the side of Mint TTT. And so that could definitely give CPX a little bit more of an edge, as you will be able to see, we might be able to see maybe Stubby will be able to match up with this particular top laner a little bit better.
Might help neutralize that matchup a little bit. I feel like Stubby's champion pool also does lean a little bit on some of those neutralizers, like the Gragas, Skarner, things that you can play into aggressive matchups, and kind of, if you play your cards right, it's pretty hard for those champions to get ahead, even if the player is pretty proficient, because you just have so much stopping power. I know that Soa's had a very aggressive champion pool. I haven't been able to look at Voids yet, since this is kind of a last minute sub, but we do have the Hui coming in against that Ori Nocturne. That is not a matchup I love as Hui. I mean, I like Hui into Orianna decently, but when you've got the Nocturne for that guaranteed ball delivery, it starts to get a little scarier. You need to be in a decently safe position to make it out alive when those two are nearby. The Xin Zhao, though, I think is a good response, is able to go toe-to-toe pretty decently with Nocturne and avoid a lot of that engaged damage that is on the side of Mint right now.
And honestly, as Mint goes ahead and ends the pick phase one with picking up the Nautilus for their support, and we're seeing the Ezreal being banned on the side of Mint. It kind of I kind of like both of these teams going into each other, like they're actually like it feels like not necessarily saying like, oh, they're thinking, but it's more like, oh, like no, like these two really are going tit for tat with each other right now. Like they really want to make sure that, hey, if you have this, we're gonna make sure we take this. And I like to see that. I like seeing two teams be like, all right, we're gonna fight as hard as we can to be able to make sure that we have the particular advantage no matter what you guys pick. And we just saw the end of this ban phase here on the side of CPX. They want to ban out the Jinx and the Shen, which I do like there, because another one of those, hey, if you Ori ball with the Shen ultimate on top of a Nocturne into the middle of your team, that sounds terrible. So I really like the forward thinking from CPX to be able to ban out that Shen so that combo is not there. And then from the side of Mint, we do see the Ezreal and Xayah ban, and I do like seeing like a Xayah ban, especially if you have someone like the baby piloting it. Xayah can be an extreme hyper carry that's kind of, I feel, a little bit more underrated as of late. So we do see here the Sivir being picked up for the side of Mint, as the side of CPX, they end with the Taric and the Urgot. So we're gonna end up seeing the Taric Seraphine bot lane, something I think I haven't seen in a couple seasons of League of Legends. And then for the side of, I think it is the I'm not sure what's picked.
Well, his name is Void, and so he's got some sort of black void going into his lane, it would seem like. But yeah, I like the usage of the Seraphine flex pick from CPX. I think it really empowers those frontliners that they've drafted. Okay, it is going to be Aatrox matching into the Urgot. Both champions that can put out a lot of damage in team fights. So I think both of those champions round out their teams pretty nicely. I think Urgot can play kind of a counter dive role. If Nocturne's going in and he doesn't have the rest of his team with him, Urgot can make that into a quick kill and kind of turn the fight around. But then, Aatrox can run in off of the engage that Mint has and, I think provide a lot of consistent damage, is able to stay alive pretty well. So I think those are both very solid picks for both teams. I also really like the Sivir pairing with the Nocturne. Nocturne makes it, you kind of want to group up when Nocturne ults, make sure that you're not getting picked off in the darkness. But Sivir can do so much AoE damage in the team fights. She might even want to consider picking up a Serpent's Fang, because there is a lot of shielding on the side of CPX. Almost every champion on that team has some form of shield that they will be picking up. And so that is an opportunity if they need that shield cut to get some value there.
And I do like when like some teams like Mint right here, they're actually on that more traditional team style, going ahead with the 80 carry in the bot lane, mage mid lane. And I like seeing this, because something I have had some troubles with mage's bot lane and then trying to focus on a more AD heavy top is that if an ADC is able to scale, right, it then gets to a point where if you can't get on top of them, you're now kind of just allowing that Sivir to start free firing, and that consistent DPS starts to become a problem, especially for the moment that Seraphine's kind of gone. Like, yeah, you still have the Taric there to kind of help sustain a little bit more, but I feel that if you get to like 35 minutes with a Sivir, a Sivir is at least, they kept themselves decent throughout the game, you're going to end up seeing a lot of HP being shredded from the side of from the play from the Seraphine, and then it's gonna be just all, hey, we got to jump on, engage onto the Sivir, but there's so much protection, and you don't want to just engage into a potential Ori ball, Nautilus ult, a raid boss like an Aatrox. There's so much, like, I like how both of these teams are intending to play, but there's so much between both of them that, like, even like the slightest misstep, it feels like the game could become catastrophically wrong for either side. So I think that this is actually going to be a banger of a game one, just based off of composition alone. And this is one of those rare times where I'm like, I can't look at the composition and really pick which one's going to win, especially with the way that CPX's composition runs. It's a really nice front to back composition, because you're going to have a lot of that engage coming in from Zinzal, coming in from Urgot, and then you have the front gate, or the engage, like, sustain, kind of like the Taric giving his W, or giving the Starlight's touch over to like one of the two engages, and then being able to use the Dazzle, and then being able to use the Cosmic Radiance, and just kind of giving a lot more of that extra. Like, Taric is actually kind of a busted support that people don't really give as much credit as they should. So we actually should really give a little, I want to give a little bit more, like, I think I'm on that like 55 to 45% for the side of CPX right now, just because of like, it's going to be a lot that you have to shred through on the side of CPX. And they do get decently tanky as well, especially on that Urgot. So as we get into game one here, as we get onto the Rift, everybody, please go ahead and say, what do you guys think? Who you guys think is going to win? I am, like I said, I think I'm 55% on the side of CPX, but geez, man, this is gonna be a damn good game to watch. I'm hyped. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm hyped too. I think I'm going to give maybe a slight edge to Mint's composition. I think if KTL can perform, it's just so hard to get on top of this Sivir with the composition that CPX has. And so if KTL is able to get off to a good start and farm up, I think this Sivir is going to be able to deal so much damage. But I think Fatal Bloom on that Taric is going to be kind of the X factor for CPX. If he has some good ultimates to deny the engage that Mint wants to go for in this game, I think that can easily turn around a fight. CPX really needs to be, I think they need good target focus to, on the counter engage against Mint. And I think Mint needs to play the space very well to make sure that, they're engaging on the same page and can't get picked off when they go in themselves.
And I do like that you call out the fact that they don't want to get picked off themselves, because you're right. The amount of decent counter engage that the side of Mint does have, like the moment that you engage into them, like you're gonna get immediately locked down by a Nautilus. You have the immediate, now you given the vision. The Nocturne can now go ahead and utilize the paranoia, go in Ori on top of all. There's so much setup that the side of CPX could potentially do for Mint. Like, Mint doesn't even actually have to do it for themselves. Engaging into them is the setup. So, but it's also the same way for the side of CPX as well. You engage into them, the Seraphine ultimate, the Seraphine Encore with the Cosmic Radiance, like, it's so much to just chew through. Both of these compositions are just gonna have a hell of a time. As we're seeing KTL get chunked down a little bit, that Seraphine does a lot more damage than a lot of people anticipate, even just for level 2. The constant getting hit by the stage presence, they will start to chunk you, especially once the passive auto comes through.
Mana is a bit of a problem for both of those bot laners in the early game. They have to manage that well to keep the wave in a good position and be able to set themselves up for a good back in the mid lane. Darrison also pretty low on mana, but can regen that up with there's oh gosh, why have I forgotten? There's so many Hwei abilities, and I play them all day. Yeah. Gaze of the Abyss? Wait, no, this is wrong. Anyway, yeah, I think both of those bot laners are, they're going to be looking to get good resets to keep their farm up. Ooh, I have a gank up top here.
Void know Nasion is here? I don't think he does, but Stubby right now, this is something we saw from Stubby last week too, where initially he would get a really good lead up in the top side, and then it kind of falters apart. Flash, engage, goes in, Nasion trying to get the last hit, and he does with the ignite, taking him down.
Minions!
And barely taken down, but he's only slain. First blood over to the side of CPX, and they lose absolutely nothing for it. And that's well done by them.
Nocturne might be able to get a double Scuttle Crab out of that, or steal away those Raptors that are spawning down there on the bot side. It looks like the Zinjao actually skipped his entire top side to pull that gank off, which is a creative play. Is going to help the Urgot get that early Executioner's calling to help cut through that Aatrox healing. Although I feel like Aatrox's healing early on in the game isn't as huge of a deal, but nevertheless going to make it even more painful for him up there in the top lane. And we might have a wraparound gank from the Nocturne bot now.
Yeah, Fatal Bloom in the Bay right now, pushed up a little too far, flashes on top of the Seraphine, had to go ahead and get the passive hook off, will show them all, decided to go and continue over the brush, but because of that, KTL is actually the one being chunked down, ignited, having to walk away as the Sivir's nearly taken down. Fatal Bloom keeping them alive, so much sustain, but it's not enough as Will show them all, takes the kill there, the Nocturne putting themselves on the board. And that's going to be tying it up already 5 minutes into this game, and we already have so much jungle presence.
Junglers both getting creative and making big plays in the early game, and I kind of thought the CPX's bot lane might have been able to get out, but it looked like they were actually trying to trade a kill back onto KTL. We're extremely close there. The Ignite almost got the job done, and going back to that top play, I also think that the Ignite from Stubby might have been enough to finish off Void without Nasayan Nation. I don't actually know how you say this guy's name, but without him going down to the minions. Nevertheless, it's dead even in the kills and the gold so far in this game. But I do feel like Mint is going to be pretty happy with getting their bot lane off to a good start.
Especially with this top lane, especially when they do have this top lane right now, having a soul difference. Whoa, both supports now are here to support their mid laners. We do see a chunk of damage come out there from the Hui to be able to take down Albino Sunbear. So gonna possibly either force them back onto the tower or even force the back here as the mid laners still have their supports nearby as if they're waiting for some type of fight. Nautilus, though, engaging into this could be trouble for him, actually. I don't think that the Orianna will be able to chunk through even Hui with all the extra sustain coming through from the Taric. So that would have been an interesting fight, but I think that would have actually been CPX favorite if they decided to engage on that.
And if Darrison had a little more mana there, I think he might have had lethal on Albino Sunbear. It just didn't have enough for the ultimate when he hit that combo. So you can see how much damage the Taric does when he is able to land that stun and pop a few autos in and get some value at 0 gold from killing a ward apparently too. That I haven't seen that textual bug before, but Nocturne's deep in enemy territories. Okay, cool. Okay, I see in chat. Yeah, Asian rhymes with Asian. That was my first thought. So might be
The fact that y'all let me. Oh yeah, we're getting the ultimate out from the Risen here as a lot of damage getting chunked down, but the Orianna gonna command the ball over and get the shockwave down. Ult for ult gonna land, and the Risen now let the lower HP right now as blue team though gonna be able to take that Drake. Stubby having such control up in the top side right now. 20 farm up on this Aatrox. Not what I was expecting to see in this top lane matchup, but right now CPX just need to allow Stubby just to continue to play with his confidence as he is absolutely dominating this top lane right now.
Even though he didn't get that early kill, the farm advantage he got and that early executioners is clearly letting him dominate the lane. He's got himself more than a kill's worth of gold from that farm difference, and is trying to play to freeze the wave as well, which is hard to do on Urgot because you have those shotgun knees. You need to account for those every time you auto those minions to make sure you aren't just nuking the wave. Over in the jungle, though, Will Show Them All does also have a sizable CS lead for himself. So even though they haven't gotten the Drake, if he can use his individual strength to swing a play.
And I'm waiting for the Paranoia chain gonna hit, but not gonna get the pull back as the Urgot's gonna be able to use the disdain to get away. Stubby, honestly, I kind of feel bad for Void right now. As wait a second, the Encore gonna come out, able to land on the 3 members, but Relics is gonna be the one that is slaying KTL, able to get away, but another gank by Nation in the bot lane is gonna be able to get them that kill, and I believe it was the Seraphine that was able to secure it.
Very nice for the Conduit bot lane. The Nautilus has a really tough job this game because the Taric is just such a good counter into any engage support, but Nautilus especially, it's like if he goes in, he can just kind of be free food for Taric to stun him, continue healing up his teammates, and he can invulnerable the depth charge as well. So tough job for Relics here, who also is actually not a starter for Mint. So they've actually got 2 subs in this game. Oh, nice ult.
Oh, Shockwave gonna land. Paranoia being dropped down as they're trying to chase down the Risen. The stun gonna be able to land on the Albino Sunbear, able to keep them alive. Split Balloon is taken down to about 25% HP. The Undertow gonna land, drop him down, Ignite, taking him in. It's gonna be enough as Relics gets revenge. But the Risen looking for the snipe as he gets far away, able to take the life of Will Show Them All. As Asian gonna miss, but the Risen with the absolute freaking, I can't even name it, but the aim there on the skill shots, able to land the AoE. Orianna gonna be dropped, and the Risen gets himself 2 kills in the mid lane with a small little CS lead, but a 2-0 on the Hui is gonna have CPX feeling real damn good right now.
As an avid Hui player, I will tell you there's nothing that feels better than getting back-to-back Severing Bolt snipes like that. That is one of the best things you can have happen to you on Hui. And so Darrison is going to be feeling himself a lot. Also going to have a nice gold lead off of those 2 kills that he's picked up there. And, We'll Show Them All is on the invade. An Asian might look for the fight.
Yeah, could jump in on top of him. Does have the level lead for Will Show Them All as Relics is here. But it's going to be the ultimate out of Xin Zhao, able to save him ever so barely. But the shutdown going over to Will Show Them All after taking him down. The Risen is here, but not able to secure any kills as the Blast Call is
Oh.
going to jump him back. Will Show Them All, though, going to be able to utilize the Unspeakable Horror, keep them away as the Bay now makes their way here. Forces the flash out of Nocturne, going back into his own jungle. They get the kill. He takes the Raptors, and they get out with their lives. That's another kill over to the side of Will Show Them All. Oh, to the side of mid.
Ooh. Stubby though.
Wait a second, though. I didn't even catch that. Fear beyond death into your mercy. Go into the maws of the crab. Urgot able to secure that kill onto Void. Solo Dolo up in the top side. 40 farm up. This Urgot is the raid boss. Forget Aatrox. We got Urgot.
That Urgot is going to be a problem. 40 CS and now a solo kill as well. And really excellently piloted solo kill as well from Stubby, using the flash and good toggling of the Purge to make sure he gets the maximum damage out to get that lethal threshold. So, yeah, well done to Stubby up there in the top lane. This mid lane matchup, I think this is a really fun matchup to play and to watch, the Hui versus Orianna, because they're both champions that can really like use their ults aggressively in the early game. They both have pretty low cooldown ults that they can use as part of their trading pattern, and either one of them can kind of turn the lane around at a given moment with a good combo on the enemy. So far, Darazin has a little bit of a lead, but it's not a huge one. Orianna is keeping even in CS and has a great parrying with the Nocturne to get on top of him. And we do have Drake spawning in 8 seconds, which means all those ults are up and available for a big engage if Mint can find the angle.
Oh boy, I'm rubbing my hands ready for the fight as they do have the vision from the Scuttle Crab. They do push Relics back into the brush, but with Void up here with no TP, but Urgot could easily turn this as the Paranoia goes in. Ball command Shockwave, able to get the wall, but the Encore going to be able to land on the 3 different members as Relics is taking down the low HP killing spree, going over to the Risen as they continue to chase JTL down, and it's also going to be Will Show Them All dropping to the Seraphine, but Albino and Soundbear going to be the next victim as Fatal Bloom's going to be able to take that kill. Najin taking down KDL is going to be 4 for nothing. Give it over to CPX, the Drake, the kills. They want the game too, and they're trying to keep their playoff berth alive as they bring themselves 3K gold up at 12 minutes.
CPX playing perfectly to that counter engage identity that they have. We see the Nocturne Orianna combo lands onto 3, but they can't get a kill before the Cosmic Radiance comes in, and so CPX gets to live for quite some time. Huge encore from Debay as well. I think he used flash to guarantee the lineup. Just sets up so much damage when they're encored into that Hui's Fissure, the Molten Fissure from Hui. Gets so much damage down when you have multiple players locked up like that, and so it's an easy team fight win for CPX, up a little over 3,000 gold now, and those first 2 Drakes, so they are in a very happy spot going into this mid game. There's not really anyone on mid that I feel like is able to single-handedly be a massive threat other than the Nocturne here at this stage of the game.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate to see how they are, like, CPX. This is what I was talking about, where CPX does have is like a team that feels like they have a very strong early game, and I feel like this time around, with the considerable advantage that they managed to build between the 2 different lanes, I want to say between, well, not just bot lane, actually 3 different lanes now when you look at bot, mid, and the top lane, because of the considerable advantages that they managed to build in their laners. Now they know that they can play with more confidence. They can play with a little bit more of that how do you say, like, that gusto, where the Paranoia now being used to jump right on top of Stubby, but that is not the one you want to look for. The last thing you want to look into is the eyes of a fed Urgot as he managed to land the Fear Beyond Death, and he said, once again, I give you mercy, and mercy means death, as they drop Void on the Aatrox once again. Is the Urgot getting another kill?
We'll Show Them All goes a little aggressive for that invade, gets found out and punished for it. Used the ult to escape there, actually, and managed to find his own way out, but Void pays for his sins. Ooh, Albino Sunbear.
Ooh, the Spiraling Despair gonna miss there, unfortunately, from the Risen. That could have been potentially the kill onto Albino Sunbear, but it did cost the flash the Orianna, so they're gonna take that. They're gonna take the top tier turret. That's the first turret bonus as well. More of these plates as they continue to just displays so much dominance on the map. Risen getting
Oh,
these snipes and goes on a rampage as he takes out the Oriana with the quick sniping combo. Nicely done to
uh-oh,
Risen as
Debay, I
they
think,
continue
has
this lead.
DC'd.
But KTL, wait a second, Debay, did you understand what was going on? He said, we're gonna give a little bit of gold back to him. The Sivir gets the shutdown onto the Seraphine, able to take that kill in the 1v1 in the bot side. And that's at least a one positive note right now for the side of Mint.
Some might call it BM to kill that the clearly DC'd Seraphine, but you can't really pause the game once the fighting starts, and Mint will take what they can get. They are behind overall in this game, and they need gold on that Seraphine. That the Hui does so much damage, even though he's on just one item, because he has those 10 stacks of the Dark Seal and the Empowered Boots. You saw how much damage the passive was able to do to finish off Albino Sunbear in the mid lane. And Fatal Bloom, supportal combat, but he doesn't know that there's 4 people around him.
Oh no, the Taric going to lose their life potentially here. Able to use the dazzle to stun them. Cosmic Radiance coming down, able to land on the 2 members of the Encore, going to drop on the relics, and no one else still continuing the chase as the TP is coming down. Urgot now looking like they want to go into the fight, and they continue as Nation has appeared. We also have more members dropping in as the Risen is here too, able to get the Spiral and Despair on the Will Show Them All, and Will Show Them All now going into the Maws of Death, and you are done. Stubby on a killing spree, looking to back as they want to get back to that top side. They don't want to give any potential more minions or advantage over to Void as they're continuing to push this top side in here, but they're not going to really be able to get much else with it there either, as the Rift Herald here going to smash into the bot lane, get a little bit of that plating, and Asian not going to be able to land anything onto any members, and that's just going to be the back off there. And now with 4k gold up, CPX has a commanding lead of this early game. They just need to continue to transition this and be able to make it an end game lead.
And that's the second time Will Show Them All has had to use the ult as an escape mechanism on this Nocturne. Really not what you want when you're playing that champion. You want to be, extending your lead, aggressively picking off players on the side lane who are isolated. And yeah, having to use it to get away from those invades feels like maybe playing a little too aggressive given the game state that Mint is currently in. Now, there is a massive CS lead for this Nocturne, but with the Xin Zhao being relatively even in items, I don't know if it's, worth the pain that it has brought them. There, now we do have yet another Drake spawning in 10 seconds. That could be soul point for Conduit if they can get it, but Mint is very grouped here. CPX also clumping up now.
Yeah, they got the TP out of the Aatrox here, so they managed to bring him down. But I don't think that's gonna really make much of a difference. An 0-3 Aatrox with only a Sunder Sky is yeah, not exactly the thing you want to see as the Paranoia is going to go, and he's going to drop in. Cockwave going to be able to land on the multiple members as the Encore does come out. Cosmic Radiance drops, but it's going to be 3 members immediately slain from the side of Mint. They don't have the firepower to be able to fight into that wombo combo. Void will show them all. Relics all drop as the 2 carries, the mid and ADC were forced to back off. They haven't been able to secure a single objective this entire game as the side of CPX goes to soul point.
Soul point for CPX, and I feel like, in hindsight, the kind of one-note comp from Mint is coming back to bite them. All they can really do is go in, and now that CPX have found themselves a lead, from quite early on in the game, it's so difficult to go in onto the Seraphine and Hui together. They do so much work, and they have a lot of people keeping them alive. Urgot and Xin Zhao can turn on you. The Taric can also... he has CC, he's got invulnerability, he's got shields and heals that love being having a bunch of melees in range, and so it feels like the draft is just favoring Conduit so heavily here, and yeah, Mint just hasn't been able to find those angles where they're isolated. I think they need to look for plays that aren't on these objective timers where Conduit is a little bit more split up, because a dragon fight is the time where it's like completely obvious that you want to be grouped up. You need to take the fight together. I think in that downtime in between the objectives, there's a little more wiggle room for Mint to find an angle. They just haven't been able to pull it off so far.
Honestly, it's very interesting, and someone's actually pointing out because I did make a mistake. There was no cosmic radiance in that last fight, and
Oh,
they didn't
wow.
even need it to be able to win it out. The encore
No
came out,
flashes
it locked
either.
up 3 members. Yeah, like they literally used no resources to be able to win that fight. It's actually kind of scary now when you look at it from that angle, and it's like, oh, wait a second. Now we're really seeing how much Conduit Esports Phoenix or Conduit Phoenix or Conduit Esports Phoenix. Wait, oh no, we'll show them all in the wrong place, wrong time. You're not allowed to farm your jungle, and your death is inevitable. Fatal Bloom, the support, on a killing spree there as they secure that kill onto the enemy jungler.
Honestly, give all the kills you want to Fatal Bloom. That Terra gets so much value this game. If he's full build, I don't think Mint can play ever, so he can have what he wants. He is countering that combo with Stubby, though.
Stubby caught all alone. It might be the next shutdown given over to the side of Mint. Uses the flash to dodge out on the hook, looking for the Orianna, not gonna be able to get them, but nearly takes down 2 members on the side of Mint in a 1v3. But with the 1v3 in the bot side, it means you have no ability to contest this objective either. The big purple worm goes over to the side of Conduit Esports Phoenix, and they're filling that lead right now. 6k gold up, 4 members, Baron buffed. This is looking good for the side of CPX.
It's a shame for CPX that they don't have the Baron on that raid boss Urgot, but he sacrifices his life nobly to get that Baron onto his team. I feel like if he had landed the Fear Beyond Death onto Albino Sunbear, that might have been a 1v3 triple kill, because that definitely would have executed the Orianna, and if she dies, then the fear spreads onto the other 2 members, and yeah, that would make that, that was a very close fight even with the ult going wide. So pretty terrifying champion in the top lane. He is going to deploy on bot, and there are 3 members down there that could punish him if he tries to get aggressive on Albino Sunbear. That is a nice window that Mint can try to punish, but if he stays under his tower because he doesn't see the rest of the team, then looks like a collapse actually from the rest of CPX coming this way.
Yeah, they're looking for him, but there's a decent amount of vision from the side of Mint on here, so they should be able to see a couple of them. But they wrap all the way around now. Albino Sunbear gonna be collapsed on, but it's gonna be the paranoia coming down as the cosmic radius is gonna be dropped. Just need a few more seconds, and now they're all invulnerable. Chasing down, the dazzle gonna land on the Albino Sunbear, stunned up, locked up, not gonna be able to get away as the first kill is gonna go over to Fatal Bloom as they're taking on a rampage. Void uses the ult, uses the bodies to extend it, not gonna be able to land the encore onto Void, but Void not long for this world as the Bay takes that killing, is given over to the Seraphine. We're looking at a dominant game from the side of CPX. No towers dropped, every objective secured. There's nothing Mint could do. They can no longer fight. This team is looking unstoppable.
CPX assemble the Avengers in bot in response to that gank. Saw the 2 TPs come down at the end there, just flying in from across the map. Looked like they didn't even really need it. That fight was already won pretty thoroughly by the initial 3 members who were there. That wraparound really beautifully done by Conduit. I don't know if they knew where Mint had that vision. I don't even know if they knew for sure that Mint was there, but they saw the opportunity to take out Albino Sunbear, and in doing so get a whole lot more. So that gold lead, almost 8,000 now. We have Drake spawning in 15 seconds. Oh, Darrison, hold on.
Risen caught out Albino Sunbear, not going to be able to get the command onto them as we get the paranoia going for Risen. The goes golden to be able to stall a little bit of time as the rest of the team members are able to make it. Even if the mid laner dies, are they going to be able to still win another fight? We do see it as the Spiral and Despair is able to be able to land on the multiple members, and Stubby's going to be able to take out the Nautilus, and they continue to chase down Risen as Void is trying to find their first kill of the game, but not going to be able to find it as they just find another death. Fatal Bloom going to be the support once again, going unstoppable. It's not often that you see the support secure more kills than their APC/ADC, but Fatal Bloom feeling damn good on this Taric.
Yeah, they pulled everything out to try and get Darius in there. I would say he was horrendously mispositioned for that Drake that was spawning with multiple members collapsing on him. Sivir ult, Sivir flash still manages to make it out alive in the end. Deathless on the way. That 1k shutdown would have been really nice for Mint to get, but they don't get it. And so that is Soul for Conduit, and they are marching down the mid lane, marching down the bot lane as well, collecting even more gold. They have cracked that 10k gold lead mark, and Mint really have their work cut out for them if they do want to find a way back into this game.
I'm already seeing the calls in chat. Conduit in 2, and right now, if they can play game 2 like they're playing this game 1, I'm inclined to agree. It has been absolutely disgusting. Like I said, I started this game off thinking 55-45 in the favor of CPX, and I was just kind of like, is that actually gonna, like, I'm kind of scared, you know? Like, I thought that they might just have the same thing happen that they had happened last week, where just things really went well early game, and all of a sudden everything fell apart into the mid game. But no, they're taking full advantage of this Seraphine Tark bot lane. They're taking full advantage of the fact that Stubby was absolutely mollywopping the top lane. Right now, Risen playing, even though he was horribly mispositioned in that last fight, absolutely played it very well, utilizing their Zonias to be able to make sure that they stayed alive long enough for Stubby and the rest of the members to get there, and not even dying either way once the Cosmic Radiance dropped on top of him. Like you said, the Taric actually right now, I think, is my personal MVP. He gets so much value from the way their team works right now. But hold on, KTL, wait, Will Show Them All doesn't know that they're there, and they pincer right on top of him as he's gonna get caught out on his red. They had to use the Encore to lock him down, and the Bay gets themselves another kill. That's the 4th kill there for the Seraphine. Even though we missed it, it's gonna be Risen though. He takes out Albino Sunbear. The 1v2 was too much, and he loses his life in return. So we get the mid laners down on the bot side losing their lives, but that means more towers to be dropped here from CPX, and they're just barreling down into Void's base as this top lane is looking like it's getting cracked down.
Stiver should be able to clear this wave out and stall things down, but they are going to grab a few plates. Ooh, Nautilus hook in.
Oh, Nautilus hook in, but Nation gonna be able to use the Crescent Guard out and jump back, trying to get them. Taking a lot of damage though, as KTL starting to drop these Ricochet blades onto them, and is actually chunking them down. As Fatal Bloom gonna be forced to utilize the Cosmic Radiance, but now the Paranoia, he does have the vision, goes in on his own, does not have the rest of the team there, and with no Ori for the combo, not gonna be able to get it. Is Nation gonna be able to take the first kill? Seraphine gonna be going on a killing spree as the Relics is gonna be dropped, able to charge in, flashes on him, shotgun knees going off, boom, 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 and Stubby goes on a killing spree. Fatal Bloom is dominating. We got an absolute masterclass from the side of CPX from minute 1 all the way to minute 26. That's gonna be the top lane, tier 3, dropping the inhib, now dropping Albino Sunbear, the sole member left alive as these towers are being cracked down. He gets jumped in. Albino Sunbear is gonna be taken down as Seraphine secures the ace. The Nexus turrets are now the target for the side of CPX. The Nexus looking damn good for them as they're looking to take this game 1. Relics, you can't do nothing. A little flash the style on them, and that's gonna be the end of game 1. CPX taking an absolutely dominating fashion.
Yeah, absolutely dominant for CPX. Really smashing all expectations with an excellent draft and excellent execution. I thought that, you know, if Mint had been able to pull themselves out an early lead using the strength of that level 6 Nocturne Orianna combo, they might be able to run away with it and, you know, prevent Conduit from being able to group. But since Conduit had that early lead, they were able to control the tempo of the game, and it really felt like Mint never had a dominating win in any of those fights.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. I'm hearing okay, so just give us a moment. We're gonna try to get the stats up for you guys so you guys can see how absolutely insane that the side of Conduit Esports Phoenix played. I think the kill score at the end was 29-5 or 29-6 or something like that. We saw like Taric was actually dominating by the end of the game. What else was there? There was so much that happened for the side of Conduit Esports. I think that they feel damn good about this game compared to last week, how they played and literally getting 2-0'd last week with, I believe, the exact same roster. Being able to do a dominating game like this is, at least, again, it's one of those like confidence boosters for the side of CPX. I think that right now they just got to keep that foot on the gas for themselves, because this composition was also just played to the absolute T. Like, it was played beautifully almost every single fight, and it really plays to Conduit Esports, showing that they can still punch with people above their league or above their pay grade, if you want to say. And they really put, like, on paper, they said, like, yeah, it's like on paper Mint should be able to win this, but CPX said, like, nah, we're gonna show y'all.
They did show them, and speaking of showing them, we'll show them all. I feel like someone who was supposed to be the standout player on the side of Mint having a bit of a rough game one. I think a lot of that is the team composition. Playing Nocturne into this team, not a fun time. You're only, your only viable targets have a ton of peel for them, and even Hui, I would say, is a deceptively difficult mage to kill. Like he's immobile, but he has built-in shield. He has multiple forms of slows, which can help get the Nocturne off of him, even if he does get engaged on, and he also, can give himself move speed. He tends to build Zhonya's somewhere in his build. So a lot of difficult targets for the Nocturne in that game. And I do think We'll Show Them All was maybe playing a bit too aggressive on some of those invades. Not necessarily how that champion wants to play, but I'm not a jungle main, so I can't say too much there. It just felt like he was getting caught out in the enemy jungle a couple times here and there. But I don't want to be too critical of that. Again, I think this was just a difficult game for Mint if they weren't able to crack things open early. And KTL also, playing the Sivir into a mage bot, it's a difficult spot to. Neither of those champions really seizes a ton of control over the early game. You just clear waves into each other, and then maybe if your supporter jungler makes something happen, then you really have something explosive go down. But for the most part, kind of a snoozer lane, and the rest of the team, you're both enabling your team in a lot of ways.
And it's actually kind of crazy to see because the Sivir actually did almost as much damage as the Orianna in that game, and it actually didn't feel as if Sivir was as involved as I thought she would be. But in general, though, the game itself was also not exactly the most involved for the side of Mint. It was very unfortunate to watch and see that they it just felt like they just kind of crumbled under the early game pressure that the side of CPX really likes to play. And I do like the fact that CPX plays this way. Like, we really want to try to pressure the lanes. We really want to make sure that if we can get an advantage anywhere, it's going to continue to bring us into more leads. And they really took full advantage of the fact that Stubby was able to consistently do things on their own. Nation going up there to be able to help Stubby at least secure that first kill, and not being that 1-for-1 up there, getting executed by the minion instead. That had to be an absolute, like, that's a minute like 2 tilter. Like that, anybody, and if you go top lane, you know that if you get diffed up in top lane, it feels terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So I'm hoping for the side of Mint that Void will be able to bring a slightly better performance for themselves, at least, a more stable performance, so then Mint will be able to play the game a little bit better, because letting Stubby get that fed on the top side was just unfortunate, because Urgot is one of those champions that can become an utter raid boss if they're gone unchecked.
And I think we really need to shout out Nation for that level 3 gank. It's a super unorthodox timer that he found there on the gank, but the early strength of the Urgot in those levels is massive into Aatrox. And even though I don't feel like Void was, super disrespectful in how he was stepping up, the E flash from Urgot is so punishing. He's got the ignite to help finish off the kill, and when you've got a jungler just waiting in the bush like that, it was well done also by Stubby to kind of bait the Aatrox to walk up. When he goes to ward the tri-bush, you think, oh, he's warding, why would his jungler ever be in the bush when he's warding? But alas, it was a well executed gank that I think set the pace for that top lane and made sure that the Zinja was kind of able to help the rest of the lanes where there's a little more volatility for the rest of the game.
And I think, like, what that means for going into game 2 is that I just hope that they hey guys, do some woosah real quick for yourselves. We're gonna be going into break very soon, but before that, just a message for the side of Mint. Yo guys, just do a quick woosah for yourself. That was just, sometimes you just have a bad game 1. I feel like that happens to a lot of teams. I don't think that anybody could disagree with that. Like, sometimes it's just a really bad starting game. Maybe some people are just getting home from work. They haven't played League all day. The hands are kind of rusty. So that's their first game to really warm themselves up. So I think that for the side of Mint, I really do want to believe that this is potentially just a warm-up game for them, and they're gonna really come guns blazing at game 2. So with that much said, guys, we're gonna go ahead and take this to a quick break, but don't go nowhere. Don't change that dial. Don't change the channel. Don't even go to another site. We need y'all here at Titan Esports watching Conqueror League on this beautiful Wednesday night as we go into game 2. Is CPX going to be able to clinch the series and keep their playoff berth alive, or is Mint going to be able to take us into a game 3 and force this down into a nail biter series? Don't go anywhere. We will find out very soon, right after this break. And welcome back, everybody, to Titan Esports Conqueror League on this Wednesday night. If you guys had just missed that game one, not game, we're not going into game one. We just had game one. We're going into game two. But if you guys just missed that game one, it was an absolute dominating masterclass by the side of CPX, dominating the map, claiming every objective, not losing an objective themselves, and then ultimately leading them down into a insane game one victory that honestly I think a lot of people were not expecting. It for some people, some people thought even in the draft it was definitely going to be CPX favored, but now people after seeing that, they're feeling it's some people are even saying, one person said it already, CPX 2-0. And so if you're feeling that confident, put y'all stocks into CPX right now. Freedom Potatoes, how you feeling about that after game one?
I feel like game one, obviously there was, maybe some draft gap on display in those later team fights, but I feel like CPX also did just perform as individuals better. It felt like they were looking for plays, they were calling for plays that just had a higher percentage of paying out most of the time, and that built them the lead, and they carried that lead through to the end. But going into game two, we are going to, have a whole new draft. Maybe some of those answers that CPX was able to pull out in game one won't be there anymore, and that may be an opportunity for Mint to capitalize and hit them with some of those more aggressive picks once again without those answers to respond.
And I'm curious to see how CPX is gonna play this. I see that it looks like the debate likes to gear more towards the mages bot lane versus the standard AD carries, which I honestly think is kind of a excuse me. I feel like that's an actually decent adjustment with the current way the meta works, because mages down the bot side, it feels like when it comes down to like AP damage in general or mages in general, ADCs have an extremely hard time surviving against a lot of the artillery poke and stuff like that that can come from different mages, such as like Ziggs. Sometimes we get the Syndra bot. I think I've seen Cassiopeia even go bot a couple of times. You can, and then there's obviously so much more. Swain you can even put into that role from time to time. So I think it's actually going to be very interesting to see how CPX plays this, because I'm curious, or how Mint plays this, because they're probably going to have to go into that matchup again, the mage versus the ADC matchup, as we do see on the ban list. Mint ends up banning on their side Ashe, Viego, Mel, and then CPX, they ban Galio, Wukong, Victor, and they end up once again picking these Ziggs, which can be a flex, but I don't think Dorizen wants to go on something like that, and instead I think that's actually going to the Bay on the bot lane.
Wouldn't surprise me if it ends up bot lane, but it is a good flex. I enjoy the Ziggs mid myself. I think Victor was a new ban that they didn't ban in the previous game that may have been trying to open up that Mel angle, but that was banned away by Mint. And it's going to be the Zehen, also a flex pick, picked up by Mint. Could go top, could go jungle. We'll have to see. I think Soaz plays it. I'm not sure about We'll Show Them All, but can get value in both of those roles.
I think Zehen is a very interesting champion, because it always feels not necessarily feast or famine, but the people who play Zehen, like, they know how to play him. So it's just kind of like, I think like Guo is a really good example of a very good, I feel like at least consistently good Zehen player. And so we're gonna see. I believe that's going. Is that going to Will Show Them All? Or is that going to Soaz? I don't know yet. So we'll have to wait to see because that is still the flex. Like, you can go top or jungle. So that'll be pretty interesting to see, as the Risen is being put onto the Syndra here. So yes, we are getting the Bay on the Ziggs down in the bot side against a Zeri. It's gonna be Zeri Lulu, and that is a combination that I can't tell you how much I despise it to this very day.
You despise it because it's too good and it was too meta, or you think it's weak? Where's the hate coming from?
It's the fact that it was at some point just way too strong, it felt like. And it wasn't even about Zeri, it was more about Lulu than anything. It felt like no matter what you did, Lulu had every single tool that was possible to keep that Zeri alive, while she's just buffed up and just artillery free firing into your team. So it just always felt very much like it was just super enabled by Lulu, and I'm just hoping that here we'll be able to get a little bit of a counter to that, which I'm expecting CPX hopefully to pick something that can maybe crack those shields. Maybe a Renekton up in the top side, but instead we get the Ornn. Okay, so this is not. I think that this is more to help enable those bot laners, or the mid and bot lane, with the giving the additional items to the AP. So then even if you start to build more MR, it's still hard to build against. And I feel like in general, AP is significantly harder to build against. And we're getting the additional CC from the side of CPX as they lock in Fatal Bloom on the Alistair, and the final pick from Mint being the Lissandra going mid lane, and then Relics picking up Mbessa for Soaz. So we do see the compositions now fully out, as that is going to be a Zahen jungle, so that should be pretty interesting to see how that goes. And I really do like the fact that they had that flex option, but now it is an Ornn versus a Mbessa, so something a lot more passive versus more aggressive, and I feel like it actually kind of like swapped the way the lanes are going to work now. And with Soaz now being up in the top side, the dynamic for Mint could also completely change, and we could see that top side go a completely different way, which is why I think that's the reason why they put Stubby on the Ornn instead of something a little bit more aggressive, because they don't want him fighting into Soaz.
That matchup for Soaz is going to be pretty nice. I really like the combination of the Lissandra with the Mbessa. You have point and click CC to set up that Lissandra ultimate. If a squishy person gets caught by either of those abilities, they are probably just dead. There's not a ton of survivability for the Ziggs or Syndra. They're going to have to play their range immaculately to stay alive in those fights. And I'm curious to see Albino Sunbear's proficiency on the Lissandra. If you can find good flanks, find good engages, that champion can be a nightmare to play against. But if Lissandra gets behind, she can kind of struggle to do a lot because you don't really have the best ranged poke. Your engage is pretty committal, and you immobilize yourself a lot of times if you are using your R on yourself. So it's kind of a feast or famine champion in a way. She can get a ton of value in the late game, also locking people down for the Zeri or the Zahen. There's a lot of utility with the Lissandra, but I feel like the Syndra is able to get so much reliable CC out if she's landing that scatter of the week. My main concern for CPX is that they don't have a ton of consistent DPS onto the Zeri. I think it's really going to have to come from her getting poked out too low that she feels comfortable running up to the enemy team, or if Nation can get on top of her with that Jax, then the Zeri's life is also going to be hard. There is a lot of CC on CPX, so any lockdown can mean a dead Zeri, but if KTL is playing the range properly, waiting for those moments to dash over the wall as the rest of his team goes in, this could be another game where KTL has the potential to pop off. But when you have that poke from the Ziggs, it's going to make laning a tough time.
And I think that's what they're hoping for, is that they want to make the lane phase an absolute hell for everyone. Make Soaz get bored up in the top side by having to lane into an Ornn, and Stubby's just going ahead and just waiting until he gets those Ornn items up for the rest of his carries to be able to do something. Nate, if anything, I feel like Nation on Jax versus Zahen is actually one of those better jungle matchups when it comes down to like a 1v1 in the jungle, whether or not it just be pretty interesting to see like how well they do into each other. And then, as you were saying, Lissandra can be pretty decent into Syndra, but if Syndra is staying back, able to lane those Scatter the Weak, starts getting up her Dark Sphere, the different stacks that she gets, I think they're called her splinters. If she starts getting up her splinters, then it starts to become an absolute, oh man, it's like, this is gonna be very interesting for the side of CPX, because I feel like last game, though, it kind of feels like they're still kind of playing the same composition in a way, because it's like a lot of the same lockdown, a lot of the same AoE damage, a lot of the same oh, we jump on top of you, we pick somebody, and then the rest of our AoE damage comes down and chunks your team down to the point where you guys can't continue to fight into us. And this is another composition where this time, again, we see Mint going for the same thing almost as last game, where we have a lot of just primary go in. The public execution from Mbessa, the Zahen, even his ultimate, he uses as an escape, but he's not using it as a reason to disengage the enemy team. He's using it as an engage or an escape. And then Sandra can only use her Frozen Tomb either on herself or on the enemy team. And that's also a type of engage when she utilizes the E for her Glacial Path. So either way, you're kind of like, it feels like Mint just immediately kind of drafted the same composition just with different clothes on.
Yeah, it's a little less long range engage, but a ton of follow up on what the Lissandra is looking to do. And again, I think if Conduit can get themselves an early lead and those range advantages. Oh, it's actually Syndra bot lane. And Ziggs mid. That I do like that adaptation. I think the Ziggs actually has a little bit of an easier time playing into the Lissandra because of the satchel charge. You can build a little bit more space. It's harder for Lissandra to just dash over the spheres that Syndra puts down, and I think Ziggs also can just bully Lissandra out of lane a little more easily in the early game because he is so strong in those early levels. He needs to be careful not to overplay his hand and get ganked by the Zehen, but if piloted properly, I think Ziggs can definitely get himself a nice early lead. Now, the concern I do have for CPX's comp is that they are very AP heavy. Ooh, we'll show them all.
Oh, we'll show them all. Walks into the brush, and now we're already seeing a slight beatdown Nation able to get a couple extra autos down onto We'll Show Them All, forcing him back into his jungle. No invade for Zehen, and instead it's going to be some vision advantage for the side of CPX as they gain the knowledge of where Zehen is starting. So Jax could potentially make their entire game state wrapped around that.
So yeah, there is a ton of AP on the side of CPX. That's just that point that I didn't, I guess, quite get to finish. But I think in the early to mid game, that's not going to affect them a ton. Like, champions don't tend to stack MR very early in the game, outside of maybe like a Mercury's treads. But Ambessa and Zehen can both get huge value out of those bruiser. You know, the Maw with, if you also have a death stance, can make you very survivable later on in the game. And so that is a concern going later into the game, but if they can get themselves a lead, I don't think they'll care too much. Ooh.
Yeah, Derizen taking a chunk of damage there from Albino Sunbear, able to get the electrical proc. His Nation is going ahead and invading onto We'll Show Them All, but We'll Show Them All looking like they're possibly going to lose the 1v1, able to stop Nation continuing on, but shouldn't try to go back as Soez is looking to go into the jungle, trying to stop Jax by any means necessary. Jax going to back, but Nasai, Nation, is they found out, no, Soez is actually going to just back off instead of trying to engage onto the Jax. So that was a nice little invade from CPX, but still not able to take the lead from them, as it's still just a little bit up for the side of Mint.
Yeah, We'll Show Them All does still have more farm overall in that jungle matchup despite the invade. Did have to blow the flash, but I mean it's traded both ways. There's a low on mana in the mid lane, and that's Albino Sunbear nicely using the HP as a resource to kind of get in Ziggs' face and make it hard for him to just play the range game the way he wants to. I think in some of those matchups where you're at that range disadvantage, you do need to kind of get the control mage off their game. As Stubby takes an aggressive trade top.
Oh, Soez, though, gonna go ahead and try trading back, as Stubby does stay pretty healthy here, has a decent health lead against Soez. So Soez does still need to be careful and also level down right now as they're getting pushed off the wave. Stubby actually also having a slight CS lead too. Again, I'm not gonna immediately put it into like, oh my god, Stubby is already gapping the top lane, because I've seen this before. We saw this last week, and then all of a sudden just ganks coming from the other team. Mint, for all we know, could really start to like really tighten up, and then it could just be, oh yeah, this top laner is now like behind Ornn or something like that, which is something you definitely don't want. With the map state kind of in a little bit of a lull right now, it's not as aggressive as last game, because we literally had already the first kill within the first 3 minutes of the game last game. So it's more right now, it feels a little bit more just like, hey, everyone's just trying to play these stable lanes. Soez is not even with the trades that Soez is getting and keeping the CS within literally like punching distance. It just feels as if, I'm not sure, like, this game is just going to feel a little bit more even, but they're going to be able to land a lot of damage on the KTL, as Fatal Bloom going to be able to land a stun onto him as well. Scatter of the Weak was able to put so much damage down on the KTL, but KTL, being low on mana, can't continue to chase down Alistar. Very close to death there, but it's still going to be a close trade for both ends on the bot side.
And it is going to be the tier in the mid lane for Derizen. Going to try to keep his mana up a little bit. I like the tier into like melee heavy, sustain heavy teams, and especially in the lane. Into the Lissandra, I don't know if it's as necessary for that 1v1, but it does also help you get, of course, a little bit more defensive value later on when you get that upgraded Seraphs. And Albino Sunbear is kind of playing off to the side. The jungler isn't nearby, but Lulu is. Will he look for the engage? That's the question.
I don't think Relics is in that position to be able to engage nearly as much, but Fatal Bloom definitely is. They do know that the Alistar is there, gonna make themselves known and just kind of deter any potential supportal combat that could happen as Nation does make their way here, does make themselves known as well as they reveal themselves by hitting off that ward, and it deters any other fighting. We'll show them all is pretty close by though, as they are at their wolves, so they could possibly fight here, but Stubby now going in on top of Soez, able to land the charge and get the and
Oh,
now calling down the Ornhorn with the insane level
oh.
up, but able to dash out as the Mbessa utilizes their abilities to dash there to be able to get away. I honestly think that was I really wish they didn't use the Ornhorn in that moment. That would have been nice to save on the next like rotation if they got like the big scatter the week gonna land onto the two members out on the bot side. The headbutt Pulverize gonna be able to come out there and stop any more determined. Fatal Bloom though trying to land the stun, can't get the can't get the trample off to be able to stun them up and try to get something down there. I really do like seeing this constant trading from both sides, but it's like now it feels like, all right, who's gonna get what?
Gotta agree. I like seeing when the bot laners are not just playing the game of who can CS better, but they're actively trying to make each other work for that CS. And up in the top lane, I feel like these early levels are kind of where Ornn can fight the Mbessa pretty handedly. He has a lot of strength in just the amount of CC available in his base kit, and his base damages are pretty high. But as Mbessa gets more items and more farm, I think that's going to be really rough for Ornn. So yeah, missing that window with the Call of the Forge God is pretty rough up there. Nation has made his way down into that bush as Alistar's maybe deliberately showing out of lane to try to bait Mint's bot lane into fighting the Syndra. So far, though, they haven't bitten on it, and Nation kind of maybe just wasting time. Needs to keep up this farm because We'll Show Them All is level 6, and the Jax is only level 5 right now. And I think Jax is a very farm-reliant champion. He needs to get... Okay, that's like the third time he's canceled his back, or at least second.
Yeah, then we've seen a small little engage there on the mid lane, and that's unfortunate because he wasted a lot of time. And Jax does need that farm from the jungle right now, sitting at about 10 down, and his farm is now being invaded. Yeah, you're gonna trade the Drake for your jungle, but now Zehen having a little bit of a decent lead on top of Jax here. So Nation not exactly playing to the same caliber at this moment, as they're not able to really make the early game work into their favor.
Now, the early Ocean Drake is nice. I think out of all the first Drakes to get, that is one of the best. But Stubby has a way of crashing and a dive on the way.
Oh, this is so unfortunate. With the Ornhorn is here, could make it happen, but the Frozen Tomb gonna land on top of them and stop every engage. Soez haven't used the flash, but it's gonna be enough first blood over to Zehen.
Zehen, definitely someone that Mint wants gold on. It's a nicely executed dive, just not much opportunity for Stubby to fight back. He's low on health, has the wave crashing, and no time to get the Ornhorn off. So he is just deleted off the map. Is happy, I guess, to get the flash off of Soez, but so far there hasn't been that much attention up to the top lane, and even without flash, Mbessa is so mobile that she should be able to play the lane regardless. Yeah, not much traded back. So in the early game, it's about 1,000 gold up for Mint. CPX does have that Drake, but one Drake alone, as nice as the Ocean is, it's not going to do a ton for you in a head-to-head fight. And if your laners aren't getting value out of the, being able to shrug off that poke, then Mint is definitely going to be happier with that early trade.
Yeah, and this is where big scatter week gonna land on some of the shields coming out though from Relics, gonna be able to keep KTL at a decently healthy state. And that's where I was like, okay, like I honestly, if he did get the Ornhorn off in that dive, I think that would have been a trade for Soez at the very least. If they didn't flash it beforehand, and that would have possibly deterred, but Ornn was already very low HP. It wouldn't have been good for him either way. So I think that they just, especially with Ornn being the type of champion that he is, where it's like you can kind of fall behind and it's a little bit okay. Like I think Stubby's not too worried about that 3-man gank that actually took 2 ultimates to be able to kill him. So yeah, I feel like right now, even though CPX is about 600 gold down, they still feel pretty like they are still in a pretty good state for this early game. As we're
Yeah,
gonna see though, KTL Jax is in. Fatal Bloom's not gonna be able to get does get the trample, able to land the stun, but now we do get the wild growth, gonna stop KTL from being dropped down as the ignite is taken, and it's gonna be so much damage from the Zeri lightning crash that came down and it almost obliterated Fatal Bloom there.
Albino
But Albino
Sunbear.
Sunbear looking for some type of target, gets headbutted away, uses the glacial path though to find Fatal Bloom. Fatal Bloom uses their ultimate as well and is able to keep them alive while deterring away Albino Sunbear from continuing on with their little gank. Nicely done. As Ziggs made their way up to the top side, they're gonna be able to, oh wow, two of the Void Grubs actually get taken by the side of Mint while they're able to secure one there, and I believe it was actually CPX that were on top of it first.
Nice job by Fatal Bloom to evade that Lissandra dive. I think he used his kit really well to make sure that he didn't die. Although Albino Sunbear still does have the flash and ult. Maybe could have gone for it, but just decided not to. And losing the flash on the Alistar is a big deal for the next fight. We've got Drake spawning in 2 minutes. That's likely going to be a hot point of contention as these champions start to come online here. But he still has the option of playing Peel. He doesn't have to be hard diving onto the Zeri, but you know, yeah, you always want your engage support like the Alistar to have their flash up if you can. I feel like for Debay, Scattered of the Week coming out a little hastily in some of those fights can play a little more patient as Soez takes a bit of a beating from the Yorn, but you can see the trades are starting to favor the Mbessa a little more than they were early on.
Yeah, and then I think also if we look towards the bot lane, they do see Nation there, and Will Show Them All is also here as well. Nation gonna have to find a way to escape as the Scattered Weak lands on the multiple members. Counter-Strike gonna come in, is able to stun the Will Show Them All. The Lightning Crash is gonna be used by Zeri. Now it's gonna be zapping them down. Zahendo gonna utilize their ultimate as the Wild Growth comes out. It's gonna be a lockdown to Agent. KTL gonna be able to take that kill. They continue to chase down the Bay, looking like the next target. They're gonna be able to use the Unleashed Power, not gonna be able to get any kills. As Zeri gets a double kill, taking out Fatal Bloom. The Risen is out here, but is it gonna be enough? Is a Sunbear is able to show up. The Risen takes the kill, flashes over the wall to be able to get away, able to secure 1 kill onto the Zeri, stopping that rampage, but now We'll Show Them All going to be taken down into the pass as the revive comes out. The Risen looking to try to take that kill as Stubby comes in. Ornhorn called down, looking for one of the targets, is able to find Blix off on the backside as they take him out, but Albino Sunbear flashes in, able to take down the Risen, and now it's gonna be Stubby all alone chasing down Lissandra. Is now gonna use the Frozen Tomb on themselves, get a little bit of healing as Relics is just gonna be off to the side trying to get the shield. Glacial Path gonna come out and is gonna get them to safety. Relics though might be taken out as the charge is already used. Rooted up, Stubby looking like the next target, and Albino Sunbear going 2-0 as they're able to get out and get the kills. That's gonna be Mint bringing themselves to a 3K gold lead after that fight, and Mbessa wasn't even involved.
That is a 4v5 that they just win hard. Yeah, as you said, 2.5k now the gold lead after a little bit of farm has been collected by Debay up in the top lane, but Albino Sunbear doing so much work on the back end of that fight, making it impossible for Ornn to walk up the way he wants to, and it's some nice sidestepping by Relics as well. Nearly got taken out by a bouncing bomb after the dive was executed and just barely got out of its path. And that is going to mean the second Drake is also taken by the side of Mint as they come off the respawn. I think the gold lead is going to really be felt by CPX in these next few minutes. Jax is trying to steal away some of the farm from that Zehen now, kind of get back into the game. He is only down 15. It's not the most CS, but it is a pretty sizable gap. And I just think these fights in the mid game are really going to favor Mint's composition because they can get so aggressive and they have even just a little bit of a lead. They can get pretty aggressive here.
Soez is looking to get aggressive on the Nation though, and he's being taken down so much. Counter-Strike gonna come out, public execution gonna be able to suppress him down, and Soez gets the kill. Nation, you wanted to invade and instead you got taken down. That's gonna be the life of the Jax loss and a kill given over to Mbessa.
Flipping the script from last game where we saw Will Show Them All getting caught on the invade, this time it is Nation going down on the enemy Krugs in just the 1v1 from Soez. Jax did not have the first item completed there, now does have the Blade of the Rune King, but
Ooh, Frozen Tomb gonna land onto him as we'll show them all in the right place at the right time, and securing their third kill. That's gonna be the Risen slain and sent to the gray screen, and it's gonna be an additional two. Now it's still officially a 3K gold lead for the side of Mint. Mint is looking good, boys.
Darezen throws out several abilities kind of aggressively onto the Lissandra, who just walks up into his face, throws the claw down, and starts off that fight with the ult. And once the ult from Lissandra comes down, if you have even a remotely fed jungle or top laner in the area, that is going to be a follow-up kill. Nation is so squishy.
Ooh, and he's getting chased down by We'll Show Them All. Glacial Path into the Frozen, into the Ring of Frost, snaring him down. We'll Show Them All had felt like using the ultimate. I felt like wasn't necessary, but is now going to be starting a fight up in the bot side as the Pulverize is going to be able to knock up KTL. Wild Growth going to be able to keep them alive as they continue to chase down, looking for Fatal Bloom. Is the Bay going to be able to utilize their Dark Sphere, trying to keep them away, getting damage. Scatter of the Weak goes wide. KTL, though, feeling good as the Lightning Crash is still going on, and they're looking to continue the chase down, though. Here we go. Glacial Path, not going to be able to get the Ring of Frost, as the Satchel Charge is going to be able to get Derizen to safety away from about a Sunbear. And still, though, it is right now Mint looking like a completely different team from game one, and really taking this early game into their command.
UFSO is back in the top, but the rest of the team really is putting on an outstanding performance. We'll show them all, especially giving that kind of team MVP performance we were maybe expecting going into this series. This is 4-1-3 on the Zehen here, and I think still has a lot more to show when we get into those team fights and can really start whacking away at those health bars. On the side of Nation, he's gone for the Blade of the Rune King, which I feel like just makes him a little too squishy to play into the team composition that Mint has. If you get ulted by Lissandra, if you get polymorphed by Lulu, you are probably just done until you get a little bit more defensive stats on you. And so there's just not a lot of big health bar champions for him to whack away at consistently. I think that item does get a little more value when you're playing against tanks, and tanks are nowhere to be found for that Mint composition. We have Nation down here in the bottom lane trying to find an angle, but it's just once again going to have to take the recall. And I think this Jax needs to be playing to maximize farm, which he is now down 27 CS into We'll Show Them All. Just a pretty brutal CS lead when it was so close a few minutes ago.
Yeah, and I actually don't like the fact that I keep seeing Nation make their way down bot lane so many times, and it's just Zeri and Lulu just pushed in, and they haven't, like, I know you want to try to catch and capitalize on them, like trying to fight into Fatal Bloom in Debay, but at the same time, like you said, like, it's a Blade of the Ruined King, makes him kind of squishy. The moment that you engage, all Relics has to do is just polymorph you, and it's not exactly, oh, that's a chunk of damage there, but Nation is up here to be able to help their top laner. Counter-Strike going to come in as Soez gets stopped up. Public Execution to be able to drop as the Ornhorn goes extremely wide. Soez able to utilize the skill and the Embessa to make sure they stay alive as we're getting a dive down bot side. We'll show them all. Bino Sunbear now here as they're surrounded by the bot laners as well. Stopping the wave as a Scattered Weak, not going to be able to land on the KTL. Fatal Bloom into Bay, trying to absorb as much of this pressure as possible. We do see, though, they are looking for it, trying to thin out the wave so the dive is not possible. And instead, the engage comes in as the Pulverize lands on the KTL. Fatal Bloom looking like they're going to be the next target taken down at the tower, is trying to take some of them down as well. We do, though, see the first tower going to be slain as the Satchel Charge chasing in the mid lane, and Stubby is now here to deter the rest of the dive, and he does end up stopping them. Lightning Crash is not used yet, though. Zeri is just absolutely online.
Nice job by Fatal Bloom once again to survive the dive. Mint kind of committed a lot onto the Alistar. I think they thought that the Syndra was already handled, but it's actually both bot laners living for the side of Conduit as they do lose 2 turrets in exchange, but Darezen is doing work in the mid lane. You do not want to give Ziggs alone time with your turrets because he takes them so fast with that passive and the Satchel Charge. Looks like the mid turret, the inner turret will survive for now, and that second Drake will be claimed by Mint, but Darezen might be in trouble here, and there's a Herald running down mid to maybe claim yet another turret?
Yeah, I mean, here comes the Rifty trying to get there, but you can see right there, they said, hell no, we're not letting that happen. Sorry, you're not getting the free from lane to lane charge CPX able to stop that there, and they did at least they're at least stemming some of this bleeding that they have going on. Where also we'll show them all is looking for Stubby, and I want to see this 1v1 go on. Zahen versus Orn, who's going to win? Ornhorn called down as Soez is making their way over. CC immune with the ultimate will show them all, stops the Orn, and Orn can only look in dismay as they're able to get the Bell's Breath into the Searing Charge, but it's not gonna be enough. We'll show them all. Actually, Soez taking that kill. 2-0-1 on this Ambessa. 2-10 between the two teams. It is not looking good for the side of CPX right now in this game, too.
The top jungle for Mint have been using their ultimates excellently in these situations, as a defensive tool in addition to an offensive one. We saw Soez use the public execution to kind of bait Nation one direction and then ult the Ornn the other direction on a previous play, and there likewise, we'll show them all, uses that as a Hen ultimate, the Grim Deliverance, to survive, or not survive, but to immune the Ornn ultimate and just keep the fight going in his favor. So I like the little bit of micro that both of those players have shown us, as KTL getting aggressive on Darrison, and there's Ambessa over the wall.
But there's a lot of damage being dropped on the KTL. So much shielding comes out from the Lulu, though, to be able to stop them, as we'll show them all now going to drop in. And Soez is looking for the Ziggs, goes under the tower, but gets headbutted back in and is getting bounced around in a bounce house as the shutdown goes to the Ornn. That's a really big pick for the side of CPX to take, as they are able to cut the lead down to 2.5k.
Darrison and Fatal Bloom take Soez to the bouncy house, and that kill is, a big deal. I think that Ambessa needed to get shut down for CPX to get some momentum on the map, and it goes right into who they wanted to. I think Darrison, we've seen, has been a very consistent performer for CPX in general, so him getting more gold means he can be more of a threat, and he's got a reasonably defensive item as well in that Seraph, so he's going to be a little tougher to kill. Yeah, that's a needlessly large rod that Darrison just picked up off that back, so he's going to hurt a whole lot more on the Ziggs. You saw how he was nearly able to take KTL out as well there, forcing the barrier from the Zeri. And yeah, he's only going to hurt more. Zeri and Lulu are two champions that I think are going to have a tough time dealing with that poke. It's the front line for Mint that are going to look for Darrison.
I'm actually really scared for the side of Mint right now, because the lead just got cut down to 2,000 out of nowhere. And I wasn't even looking at the gold lead or paying as much attention to it, but hold on, we'll show them all now. Caught and surrounded, having to use the ult over the wall to get out with their life. Super Mega Inferno Bomb gonna drop onto him, not gonna get the sweet spot, able to chunk down a little bit more damage. Now that's two ultimates down from the side of both CPX and Mint, are at least one ultimate each used, and that's gonna be and that's now gonna lead them down where it feels like it's interesting. Like, yeah, the gold lead is going back to that 3k lead that it was beforehand, but it's like CPX still feels like they have some footing in this game, like the way that they're playing. KTL though keeps getting caught by these scatters of the weeks. This is not gonna end well for them if they're able to find a really good pick in a team fight.
There is a Mikhail's picked up by Relics, though. I think that item is in a really strong spot right now. Gets so much value in organized play, where you can, call for that peel as the AD carry player there. And yeah, the shields likewise making it difficult for Debay to find the necessary damage. You can also see the scoreboard's not up right now, but with how AP heavy CPX's team is, Mint has invested 3 Mercury's treads on their top side. It's just so hard to kill those champions. I really feel like KTL is their only easy target, and even he has relics in his up his sleeve to help deal with any CC that comes his way, as Darrison could be caught up here.
Oh no, you're up too far with no tower. You're just gonna have to try to fight it out, and with no objective, he has to stall. He has to find a way. But that's gonna be the Frozen Tomb used onto his albino sun bear on himself, as he's able to secure that kill, going on a killing spree. Nation couldn't get up there in time to be able to help their mid laner, and that's gonna be the 1v2 gank in the top side going over to the Lissandra.
The healing and shielding power too much. From the Lissandra ultimate, plus those empowered Mercury's treads, just enough to save Albino Sunbear from a potential 1v2 kill. That was close from Darrison, as Debay just does not hurt Soez when he has those shields coming in. That is a tough champ to chew through. I'm also not a fan of the Sorcerer's Shoes that much in games where you have such an AP heavy team comp. I think being able to throw out more spells, play more peel on the Syndra at least can be big value. Ziggs gets a little bit more value from the single chunk, but it's really hard for Syndra to one-shot here, and I think playing more to that E spam would benefit her. But Mint just gonna grab a free Drake, as there's just no real way in for CPX here. That's now sole point for Mint. Conduit happy that they got that first Ocean Drake, but you can see it doesn't really help much into the all-in composition that Mint has.
Yeah, and I'm getting honestly, I'm kind of curious to see how much further in is this, like how much further can CPX go before this game completely blows wide open. Like, are they going to be able to sustain a lot of that oncoming engage damage that's going to be just barreling into them at this point? Because at first I thought like, okay, with the Alistair, the Ornn, they have even the Scattered a Week from Syndra, they have a decent amount of disengage that should be able to save them in those beginning parts of the fight. But like you said, they're having such a hard time actually killing, dishing out the damage to kill off these squishier members that, like, yeah, we do see KTL taking a ton of damage from the Bay, but the rest of the members aren't on the enemy side. So even when you put all your spells down, like you use the Unleash Power on Syndra, now that big chunk of damage is gone, and it's gonna be, as long as unless she's landing constant Dark Spears and Scatter the Weeks, it's not gonna feel good, and then you're more reliant on the Ziggs poke damage. Truthfully, I think, yeah, he's looking for the Ziggs, but Ziggs doing a decent chunk of damage, actually. I'm not gonna lie to you, though. I think in this particular situation, I would have rather had seen the Ziggs go bot. I think it could have mitigated a lot more of the Zeri Lulu that they wanted to do, and sending Syndra mid lane against Lissandra would have possibly been just a little bit better. I just think in the general, the matchup, I like it a little better. Total Execution is gonna get flashed away. Soaz loses his ult, gets the Ziggs flash. I think you're happy with that.
Oh, definitely happy. And Darrison still needs to be careful not to get too close. If Soaz finds his way on top of this Ziggs, he can still dish out lethal amounts of damage, despite how much Ziggs has been able to do. The turret is taken, though, as the Ziggs getting a lot of value out of those satchel charges. Will want to look for the mid turret at some point as well. We've got 3 minutes on the next Drake. Baron also live, but neither team getting too aggressive for it. And gold lead is back down to. Oh, hold on. What?
Oh, my heart!
I for a second I thought We'll Show Them All was BMing there, but I think he really just had the back queued up mentally because he thought Ziggs was already gone, and instead finds him, tries to cancel the back and go for the auto, but doesn't quite pull it off in time. So Darrison just barely makes it out of that situation. And yeah, CPX has been able to keep the gold lead pretty close. So if Mint doesn't get Soul on this rotation, I am a little worried that they will start to lose a little bit of ground to CPX. Who's I think does have a composition that scales very well into what Mint wants to do. They've just kind of been on the back foot for most of this game.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and with it, like you literally see it's been a teeter-totter for the gold lead the entire time between 2 and 3K, 2 and 3K, 2 and 3K. Usually when you see that consistently happen over and over, it means that even though the team has a lead, they aren't able to really transition it as much as they want to. Ooh. As KTL chunked down to half HP, and that's now the Bay showing that they got some of the damage that they need to be able to deter this Zeri. Zeri gonna be forced to back as the Drake is up in 1:30. I want to see
150 stacks on Syndra.
Yeah, and that's why she's doing so much damage. This is, and I believe, what is it? The max is 150? 120. Oh, so she's getting close, but not with this, as the Bay nearly taken out by Soaz, gonna be forced to back. Does have the TP though, so they're not really losing out, and the Drake is still not up for a minute. So actually, the Bay being forced to back here does have some options in regard to where they can go before the big Drake fight starts, and they can't afford to give this up. Nation needs to be obviously prioritizing the spot side, but what's happening
Nation.
is that the team of it's always been that team of We'll Show Them All and Albino Sunbear going in Red Frost, but we do shut down the Zeri. But is that gonna mean anything? Is the Risen is also taken out by Albino Sunbear? The Bay gonna be able to try to land a Dark Spear, but not gonna be able to land it as Soaz gets stunned up under the tower. Fatal Bloom looking for it as the Ornhorn gets called down, and that is an Ornhorn that's gonna be able to hit using the ultimate to go unstoppable, able to deter the Ornhorn. But now it's just gonna be We'll Show Them All caught in between the between the tanks and the Nation on the Jax as he continues to go in. Glacial Path not going to be utilized, and instead the knockup coming in, and it might be will show them all going to drop here as they try to get a little bit more, but it won't be enough as the shutdown goes to Nation. They continue the chase as Albino Sunbear gets knocked out by the Ornn, and he has to go golden. Counter-Strike not going to be able to land the stun, but Albino Sunbear not long for this world. The public execution able to find the backline. The Bay looking like the next target, but Albino Sunbear going to be able to walk out alive as the polymorph going to come through, but that's another big shutdown going over to the Ornn, and now the gold lead within 500 gold. Fatal Bloom looking like the target for Soez, but Soez now turning around as Subby is here, and he's looking like a big boy Ornn. Soez though, trying to duck away as Relics is barely clipped by the Super Mega Inferno Bomb, and the shutdown for the enemy team goes over to the Jax. This is absolutely insane. 3k gold down, an absolutely extended fight, and now it is CPX who secured the lead, secured this Drake, and they might be able to get a little bit more for themselves on this map now with the map state changing completely.
Mint get an initial pick onto Darrison, which looks nice, but CPX show that their team is more than just the Ziggs. As they come alive in that fight, Stubby barely taking any damage across the entirety of that fight, and with the early chunk onto KTL as well, it was pretty easy for CPX to get that shutdown onto Zeri. They get multiple other shutdowns as well onto, I believe, the Lissandra and the Mbessa, and so they have just taken the gold lead, and they've stopped that Soul take for now. The Mint still in a decent position, but as CPX continues to scale, these fights are only going to get harder for them. A lot of those weaknesses we were talking about with the itemization and the team composition that CPX had earlier on have been shored up a little bit. You've got the Jax now with the Trinity Force completed, working on that Death Stance, and the Trinity Force is upgraded. Those Ornn augments have all come through for the entirety of CPX, so that's just even more raw stats, raw damage, tankiness as well coming through from them, and that means they're in a pretty happy spot. The gold lead, even in a sense, a little larger than it looks thanks to those. Now, I still think the picks that Mint can find are huge. They have 2 Maws completed as well, and their composition is no slouch in terms of the extended fight. They just need to, I think, play to, you know, make sure that you have cooldowns and mana on your Lissandra, on your Zeri. Let them play. Oh, speaking of which,
Frozen Tomb and a lot of damage being dropped. The Seraphs, though, going to be able to save Ziggs just for a little while longer. Flash over the wall. Soez looking for the public execution. Gonna find it into the brush and take out the Risen. And that is a quick one that they need. And I think this is going to be the call for the Baron.
they should look for the Baron here. That Ziggs poke is one of the main things that can deter Mint from doing it, and he is no longer on the map. They don't have the Lissandra ult, although the cooldown is pretty short. And Nation going in is also going to be tough. Debay needs to play this perfectly, and Fatal Bloom needs to buy him a lot of space. It looks like, actually, no, they're not going to contest. They are just going to give it up. A lost fight at Baron here could just mean the game, so they are going to turn their attention elsewhere, but they're not really doing much. I would like to see at least the mid and bot waves pushed for CPX, but they are just going to give over the Baron, and yeah, not really take anything in trade. So overextension from Darrison, punished hard by Mint.
Yeah, this is just really tragic from the side of Mint, right? Oh, for the side of CPX right now, when you finally found that one big fight that can actually get you back into this game. I feel like the Risen has been doing this consistently, being overstepped into places that they shouldn't be, and playing with a lot more confidence. That right now in this game state, you should be trying to play a little bit more careful, especially when you had the Baron basically a big risk the moment that you got taken out. As you said, a big part of that damage from them is the Ziggs poke.
Ziggs up top as well. He's such an important part of their wave clear as well. That is one of the strengths of CPX, is that they have a lot of range and a lot of wave clear, which can make this Baron Siege tough for Mint. But Ziggs is top, trying to play his satchel charge game instead. And I don't know if that's what CPX need in this moment. I think they want to try to deny those turrets. But for now, Darrison is unanswered. We have seen him get caught on that side lane a couple times as Ziggs. I've been there as well, where you see the satchel charge just a few inches away, and then suddenly the whole enemy team shows up. So he's got to be a little careful, but mid lane is a 3v3 for now, and that is something CPX could look to punish.
And I think Stubby still feels pretty confident fighting into Soez. Again, this gold lead is not insurmountable. It's only about maybe 400 between the two teams. So it's still very even between these two. And yes, you may have secured that Baron, but that doesn't mean it didn't bring you a big gold lead, you know? And you guys are still needing to secure this mid-tier 1. You still need to be able to fight for the soul as well. So even though, like, yes, this bot lane is like, it's big pushed in, like, oh my god, it's literally 4 minions. That's so much damage, and honestly that's very smart, trying to get this Ornn whittled down as much as possible so they can't engage into, as we'll show them all. Ooh. But the Risen doesn't get caught out by we'll show them all, and instead is going to be deterred back. Ornn trying to thin that wave out as much as possible so that they can try to make a move onto this Drake. Lightning Crash going to be summoned out by the KTL, but we'll show them all in between the turrets, able to find him on the back end and take out Debay here. And that's just now 2K back up for the side of a Mint, as they actually continue to surmount their lead from before. So now it's like, okay, you guys had no lead when you got the Baron, and now you're starting to make a lead for yourselves. As Soez, though, looking like the target for Fatal Bloom and Stubby, but they don't have enough damage, and the rest of the team is going to be able to be here for the backup. And now the Risen trying to drop a lot of damage on the Will Show Them All as he's going ahead and continuing on the Stubby. That's going to be KTL utilizing the Ultra Shock Laser, able to land a lot of damage onto it, but now it's the rest of the side of Mint being deterred away by the side of CPX. And I think they want to continue this fight. Syndra is up in 6, does have the TP. The Drake is up, and they want to be able to fight for this soul. This is a do or die fight for both teams right here. If either team loses this fight, it's going to be able to open up the game wide. Debay uses the teleport to get in as Fatal Bloom is looking for the target. So Albino Sombear and Soez, they do have them behind the wall, and they're going around. There's going to be a potential public execution from behind, able to land a suppression as it's going to go into multiple members. The Ornn called down, and it's going in as Will Show the Ball going to be able to take the first kill. The Dragon now down to only 2k HP. Nation trying to find something, but it's not going to be able to do so. Will Show them all, though, secures the soul, but is it going to be able to secure the kills? KTL takes out the Risen as they continue to chase him down. Stubby now being the only member left alive for the side of CPX, as we see the other kills getting dropped with the Albino Sunbear chasing off Fatal Bloom to the top side of the map. Stubby trying to get away, but Will Show them all has found the top laner. And even though it's gonna be Stubby all alone and all by himself, it's gonna be the side of Mint looking like they're gonna make the absolute comeback, looking way better than the game 1 right now. Lissandra barreling down. Stubby doing a good job, though, of stalling them for as long as they possibly can, stopping them from being able to continue to push lanes, push turrets, and get the team members back up so they possibly can make another fight once again.
CPX was able to kind of fix their side lane situation a little bit before that Drake, which means they don't lose the game off that play, but the Ornn is going to be massively staggered. Ooh, Albino Sunbear just eats the ult.
So much damage coming out as the Unleashed Power going to be completely eaten up by the Frozen Tomb, and having basically a double Zonias in your kit sucks so much when you're going up and you're trying to burst them down. Albino Sunbear gonna be taking a clip of the damage from the Super Mega Inferno Bomb, but unfortunately it doesn't really do much else. And that's just gonna be the that's another kill going over to the side of Mint, and it's a complete 180 in this series right now.
8,000 gold lead now. They have broken the enemy base. They've got the soul. The Chemtech soul, so much value on this team. Everyone on this team just wants to be in the fight as long as they can be, and that enables all of them. Well, maybe not Lulu, but everyone else on the team, really feeling good about that. And even Lulu, you know, means she survives a bit longer if she does get picked. So I think that's a great pickup for them. I really feel like it stems from the war of attrition they were able to pull off using the Baron buff. You saw for a while CPX was holding on pretty well, but Fatal Bloom decided to take a recall on Vision, and as soon as that Alistar finishes the reset, you saw Mint pull the trigger onto Debay. Debay blows the flash, dies when the soul fight is coming up and has to TP in, and then Mint pulled off that, you know, I love those moments where you can see the comms having their impact. Oh my gosh, KTL, be careful with Ziggs. But
he still does a lot of damage. What we do have a fight is Will Show them all is going to be finding Fatal Bloom. And Fatal Bloom, though, want to continue to chase. Does have the ability to headbutt pulverize. Stubby is here now, but they don't see the Lissandra coming down and looking for the target. Asano Sunbear going to be able to find the flank. Might be able to use the gate. But Soez chunked down to half HP. Ornn called down. They're split up as 5 members. Find 3 from the side of CPX. Headbutt going to be able to to try to keep Will Show Them All and Lissandra away, as they are able to get the engage. The Bay gonna be the first one to fall, as Albino Sunbear gonna be shut down by the Jax. Will Show Them All trying to get away, as they do have the passive, but it's gonna be Ornn taking out KTL, and this is another fight that how are they able to find this? But Will Show Them All is absolutely disgusting, as all that lifesteal is being able to keep them alive as they get the double kill and is still maintaining the sustain. Will Show Them All with the triple kills, Zehen looking absolutely busted, and that's gonna be the one fight for the site of Mint.
There's no anti-heal on the side of CPX, by the way. And yeah, that was a dream fight for Zehen. He has the Endless Hunger and the Maw popped, both of those giving a ton of additional Omni Vamp. So he was healing for something like 400 to 500 per hit in the later stages of that fight. And he still almost went down. It was just a single missed Q from Darrison that buys him the space to live. And Ornn might be able to stall.
He's trying to clear the wave more than worry about killing relics there, and trying to stall for a little while longer. The bait is here, so they do get to keep their base alive for a little bit longer. But with the mid inhib dropped, top tier 3 dropped, this base is not meant to, it's not going to last much longer. Fatal Bloom looking for relics, as that's their next target. They want to just secure any kill that they can, but it's not going to be enough. The speed boost going to be able to get them away. You know what's really funny about that is, like, I think it's Shirelia's now, but I still remember the days of good old amulet coin. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, dang, man, that just the little speed. It was such a good time with those old items, you know. So it was just funny to see. It's just like, oh man, I know we're gonna start talking about League Classic now in the middle of this game, but like, let me stay away from that topic, because that's a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. As we still do have CPX versus Mint on the screen right now. Mint still holding themselves up a little bit. 8K gold down, a soul down, and Will Show Them All though might be caught up in a 1v4 as Najin does find him, and I do believe if the 4 of them did gang up on him, they could have done something, but they would have had to spend so many resources to kill that Zehen.
Yeah, and if you spend all that on the Zehen, Zeri has the opportunity to pop off. The Mbessa likewise can, just run through the team. But really, it's when Mint is all together firing on all cylinders that they are the scariest. They have, triple DPS threats with a whole bunch of CC as well. They're going to turn onto the Baron, and it looks like CPX is going to expend the TP to try to stop it.
Yeah, but we do see that Soez and Albino Sunbear trying to build up a little bit of a small flank that they could possibly use. They know that the Baron is here, and they're trying to get into the middle of that pit. Counter-Strike is here, doesn't jump in as the Baron is taken down to just under 5k HP. Lightning Crash is going to be used by KTL as he's looking, but that's going to be Stubby now being chunked down by the rest of the team, taken down to about a 3rd HP. Public Execution going to be able to land onto him as Fatal Bloom is trying to use the headbutt to keep them away. Ornhorn going to be calmed down as they're trying to find multiple members off on the backside, but with him being locked up, he can't call it back, and it's going to be Stubby being dropped as KTL is able to take that kill. Soez fighting down 3 different members on the bot side. Is Albino Sunbear going to be able to take out Nation? 2 members dropped on the side of CPX as 5 members are still alive on the side of Mint, and they're continuing down the chase. Fatal Bloom looking like the next target as he's going to be taken down by Zehen. No, it's not. It's Soez going unstoppable as the Alistar drops, and the Bay and the Risen, the only 2 members left. Yes, Ziggs has some decent poke damage. The Bay has some decent poke damage, but a 2v1, a 2v5, and the 2 mages versus 5 members of the side of Mint is not gonna mean much. Yes, the Risen, you secure that shutdown, but is it gonna be enough to save your Nexus? The answer is no. We're going to a game 3.
Game 3 on the way as Mint strikes back in game 2. It was surprisingly close considering how much of a lead Mint had early on. I feel like CPX was able to mitigate a lot of it through their wave clear, through that CC they had to punish a few plays that were a little too aggressive, but overall, it felt like that was an inevitable victory for Mint with the amount of MR they were able to stack, with the amount of CC they were able to put down, and really Soez and Albino Sunbear working together excellently at multiple objectives, pulling off those flanks, making it really hard for Conduit to hold those chokes with their mages, and punishing the double mage pick. One of those risks when you take a mage bot is that you might over-index into the ability power damage, and we saw that on display there. It was really hard to take out those frontliners.
And this is why I'm saying that I want to try to see, like, I would love to see the side of CPX, like, can they get Debay to play something a little bit more traditional? Like, can you play the more traditional AD carry? Because at that point, if all you're doing is playing mages, again, you're missing out on so much more consistent damage that you're gonna be able to dish out, that we saw coming out from the Zeri. And so it's like that's the reason why I generally still go in favor of the traditional ADCs, because as we can see, yes, the damage was, they actually still outscaled damage, but it's like, it's a lot more of that front loaded damage, you know? Like, so for Syndra per se, like, the total damage done still doesn't necessarily mean that it ended up being better overall, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just didn't, for like certain fights, especially those extended fights, it felt like Syndra couldn't get the damage out enough to be able to help them win out in those extended fights. And holy, I wasn't even paying attention to that, but geez, 44,000 healing from the Zehen, and we didn't see one single anti-heal item. Listen, yeah,
Syndra
okay,
bought
that's
Oblivion Orb at the
like,
end, I guess, but
that's for their team though. That wasn't against the other team. Like, what, you're gonna stop the Alistair passive heal? Okay, cool. That's great. You're stopping the heal from the Jax. It didn't even matter from the Jax. So it was just, it's like, what do you need that for, Lissandra? Just keep the damage coming out. I really, that was a little bit disappointing to see from CPX when you saw how well they played that game one. And I really hope it wasn't just because of the top, like, you know, the top laners being different, and now it's like, oh yeah, Soaz come in, and like, you literally saw someone says Soaz, oh, Soaz is in, oh yeah, Mitten 3 immediately changed up people's minds, and you know, and even some people who were saying Mitten 2, it got changed to I'm sorry, CPX in 2, now it got changed to CPX in 3 because of the fact that Soaz was in. So we can still see a potential CPX in 3, but with the way that game was played, yeah, we're looking kind of scary. Yes, they were able to take a small little hump around that 30-minute mark where they were able to get themselves a little bit of the lead back, but it was about maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 gold at most that they gained back, and then after that, all of a sudden, it was an 8K gold lead on the other side, and they just immediately snowballed to the victory. Yeah, nah. After this break, guys, you guys are gonna see whether or not Mint can go ahead and keep their, keep their playoff berth alive in a clean playoff berth, so they don't have to worry about all these crazy tiebreakers. Or is CPX about to force those tiebreakers and keep their own playoff berth alive here? Because CPX, if y'all lose this game, Dunzo, y'all get zip, nada, zero, nothing, goose egg. It's done. So y'all gotta make sure that you don't go nowhere, audience. We see the 54 of y'all in the audience right now. Don't go nowhere. Don't change that channel, because Titan Esports Conqueror League will be right back with Game 3 of Mint Esports versus CPX. And let's see who's going to be able to take it. Is it going to be Mint? Is it going to be CPX? Let's find out after this break. Don't go nowhere.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The heat wave persists, but so do I. Today, we're coming in with the top 5 plays from Titan Week 5. Coming in at number 5, we have a simple combination of a beautiful flank from Silas and Garen spinning like a Beyblade to win a massive team fight between Theory of Everything Quantization taking on Conduit Esports Gaming. Take a look at this.
Or a bad fight can come up. I'm just gonna pick up the dragon alone now. The fight though, Conduit want to try and do something, but it's Cloud Soul. Look at that speed. They're gonna go re-engage on this fight. Spirit Rush to this backside. It's a hijack one. Dariz is gonna get bursted down, chased down by Thunder McBusters. Now turning the sights onto the rest of Conduit. Just been collapsing under the weight of the slower fight. Nose for 2 though. Still left here alone on this fight there, but it's the Smolder finished up on the stacks a while ago, helping the rest of T-Tech just take this fight in droves.
Yeah, Theory of Evolution got exactly what they wanted and then baited them once again.
Coming in at number 4, we have the reason you gotta make sure you finish the kill. This Ziggs ran so deep and got away with absolute murder. Proof that terrorism sometimes can win. The fact that he gets a triple kill on his death from that stupid little Ziggs passive where the little guy just blows up. It's just a great little play. I did watch this and was like, damn, why is this here? And the more I watched, like, wait, what? And that's exactly what it is. Let's go ahead and take a look. This one comes from the Titan Olympus League.
Oh my god.
Knock your fucking head off.
Oh, we're so fucking dead. Uh-oh.
Not like this, bro.
Zed, one more Q for the boys, bro! Oh, so good! Come on, everyone! Oh my fucking god! Oh my god!
Coming in at number 3, we have a play from Elegy Direwolves and the Jolly Roger Bilge Rats. Okay. This I can only describe as an... You know those scenes in action movies where people run at each other one by one by one by one? That's how this play starts. And then it turns into a horror movie as Shyvana and Set just alt/alt, like Dragon's Descent / blanking on Set's ultimate name here. I know it's something really obvious, so the showstopper right in to the remaining members of the enemy team who didn't run in the one by one action movie. It reminds me of oh god, what's it called? The old Reacher with oh god, Johnny Depp, I think it is. Not Johnny Depp, sorry. Other one. Not Jim Carrey, the other one. Oh god, you get it though. The old Preacher with the Tom Cruise. That's not Jim. Tom Cruise, as they all run at him one by one by one by one, and then the last two he takes on at the same time. That's kind of what this play is. It's really fun to watch. Take a look. I'm going to get the blue buff. Zin's out trying to claim it. Shyvana and him battling for it. Second to come in on the side. There's the Nautilus. Getting caught in the back line here. Seraphine gonna get a ton of damage off Nautilus, trying to get away with his life, and he doesn't, as Night Raven able to find Blackout, and now Cassandra not gonna be long for this world. It's a 1. There's Zin's out trying to dive in, uses the Crescent Guard to try to protect Cassandra with a bodyguard. Might not be long for a world after that. They keep just kind of going in 1 for 1. There's the showstopper on top. The Dragon's Set gonna come through, and it's absolutely beautiful as they find all 5, and it's an ace. Coming in at number 2, ladies and gentlemen, an Elysium play has finally made the list. This one sent to me by the mid laner of Elysium Ravens, Blobfish, over the Vanquisher Leagues when they took on Syndicate Monologue this week. Medusa cosplay. It's enough to say. Cassiopeia just hits a very, very iconic ultimate and just stops anyone from moving. And then as they come out of this, as they come out of the gaze, they fight this fight 4v5 while Ignorus is just split pushing top as Olaf, and it ultimately wins them the game. It's an actual banger to watch this team take a 4v5 victory. So let's take a look.
I deserve to
Good
live.
ground, good ground. Holy shit, it's good.
I'm not there.
Galio taunting me.
Slow. Use tower.
Like we're good.
That's good. That's good.
Olaf is just ending, by the way. If we just slow chase.
Keep playing.
Yeah, don't let me.
Save me.
Don't die here.
You guys can.
Oh my god, Chase is
Olaf's
huge.
Beautiful.
Chase is bouncing. Chase a penta. Chase is bouncing. Chase a penta.
There's no way. There's no way
Bro,
to lose the game like that.
is my Cassio not clean as fuck, boys?
Dude, well played, bro. Holy.
What the?
Well played.
Good fuck.
And of course, we always have our honorable mentions. We got 2 brilliant honorable mentions for you. Go ahead, take a look. And just remember, if you want to send a clip to me, TI Romeo in the DMs, or put it in the league clips chat, and they will come in for the next week. Aatrox coming out of the bush. Kiana, or Oriana, gonna get stuck here. There's gonna be a couple orbs. She's doing a sizable amount of damage, but Aatrox should just be able to stay on top of her. Wait a minute, there's a shockwave. Can CCI get away? He's gonna miss the first Q. He lands the second one, but it's not enough. Oh, it's a huge knock-up. There's going to be the golden eclipse. It does a ton of damage. But Xin Zhao not going all the way down. The rebuttal not going to land anything. Zdelica, but Xin surely going to go down here. No! He does it as a triple. Can he make it anymore? There's going to be the Crescent Guard. He's still alive. He won't die. It's a quadra kill. Finally, coming in at number 1. I feel like every week we have a Zehen play. This week we survived without it, but we don't survive without some Twitch glides. I will glide has sent me another play of him actually smurfing it, but this time he makes sure to finish it off with a pentakill. It's a rat on skates. Call him the Canadian rat, the Canadian Twitcher. He's just gliding to the mid lane and winning his team the fight. Check it out. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all for us for this week. Top 5 plays from Titan Week 5. Make sure you get your clips into me whenever you can. I'll try to get these out for Monday or Tuesday when I can. I do accept last-minute clips on Sundays, 2 Mondays, like the close off. But if you can get your clips to me, I hope you enjoyed this week. If you've got any notes for me, put it in the comments. Let me know which clip was your favorite, and I will see you next time.
And just right when y'all thought it was gonna be an easy night, y'all was dead wrong. If you're just joining us there, it is Conqueror League and Titan Esports on this beautiful Wednesday night, and we just saw Mint come right back punching at CPX, able to secure the game 2 in almost the same exact fashion as the game 1 that CPX was able to put on. I mean, what I mean by that is by the end of it, it felt like you knew exactly, like it just felt like it was just, you know, boom, both teams just stomped each other out. And so I'm very curious to see how they're going to play into this, where CPX right now, they really got the pressure on them. You lose this game, you have no more playoffs. So Potatoes, what are you thinking? Like, how is CPX going to be able to come back from this, where right now I feel like Mint is feeling real high, especially with that change up in the top lane, putting Soez back up there?
It feels to me like Mint is largely playing very kind of go-in comps. I think CPX can definitely respond to that, continuing to play sort of front-to-back compositions, but I do want to see them draft maybe a more traditional ADC. I think a big problem for them that game was how AP-heavy their team composition was, even in the top and jungle. You know, even for an AD champion, ostensibly, Jax still deals a decent part of magic damage because of his kit. And so the MR itemization just made that game kind of free for the side of Mint. I feel like CPX had some good showings here and there. We saw them turn the massive deficit they were at into a gold lead briefly, because I think they just played 1 or 2 fights a little better than their opponents. But in the end, it just came back to being a stomp because the enemy could not die once they had that soul and all that MR built up. So I think something like, yeah, bringing in a traditional ADC, something that can kind of help protect them. I really think pretty standard drafting can still work in CPX's favor. I think the control mages in general have looked pretty good for Darrison. He's a consistent performer there. And I think for the side of Mint, I think they kind of can continue doing what they did in that second game there. Draft some bruisers, some fighters, just things that go in, and some reliable CC to set them up. Have KTL in the pocket as kind of the late game carry, and you'll be good to go. I think this game 3 really could go either way, even with how dominant Mint looked for a lot of that game. CPX still made it look close a few times here and there.
Yeah, and again, like they were able to keep the gold lead within 2,000 to 3,000 the majority of the game, and being able to stem the bleeding and didn't allow for them. And I think someone actually called it out too when they were playing the Ornn the last game. Like, once you start getting Ornn items, each Ornn item basically equates to around an additional, I think it's like they said around like 12 to 1,400 gold. Someone can correct me on that. But if anything, it was like as if that 3,000 gold lead didn't actually exist when the Ornn items started coming into play. It wasn't until they finally blew the lead up where it felt insurmountable for CPX to come back. So with that said, CPX can still play into Mint and play pretty well, and I think that they're going to try to do it here where we do start getting some of the first couple bans coming in, as Mint has so far banned out the Ashe and Viego, CPX banning out the Galio and Victor. Some of the bans still staying the same from last game. The Viego, I think, being more prioritized this time around, as the Lock also gets locked down, gets banned out by Mint. They don't want to end up seeing Derizen potentially play that AP mid lane assassin, so instead we're going to see CPX ban out the Wukong here. And so I'm curious to see what we're actually going to end up getting for Derizen, because I feel that Derizen can play like you said, the mages that Derizen can play should be pretty surprising. And whoa, I forgot, Mel actually got through this round, so we're actually gonna end up seeing the Mel. And in Mel, they do like the, oh man, okay, so this is not on the side of CPX though, and I think it was being banned against CPX every single game. So yeah, this is definitely a big steal away from the side of CPX, because they were going to be, if they did take that, that would have been a huge flex for the side of CPX between Derizen and the baby being able to be like, okay, we could either send this Mel down bot, or we could send it to the mid lane, make it a solo laner, make it a carry laner. There was just so much options for them, so I'm glad that Mint got that steal away and we're able to be like, all right, you guys aren't doing anything. So CPX responds. This time they are picking the traditional AD carry, getting the traditional scaling AD carry and the Jinx with a lockdown CC early engage jungler type with Nasian on the Jarvan. And in response, Mint goes with the Shyvana, who's going to be decent for that dueling in the early game, and to lock down that I think is going to actually be the bot lane, because I really like this combination together. It's the Mel Leona, and I really want to see actually KTL take this Mel and go in that Leona and just get that eternal lockdown. But who can stop some of that engage and lockdown? It is Thresh himself with the flay and then into the hooks. This is actually looking really interesting from both these compositions. I really do like this.
Thresh, I think, is by far Fatal Bloom's most played champion. That is comfort for him. It has been pulled out now here in Game 3, and Thresh is one of the ultimate skill expressive champions. If you're hitting those hooks, if you're hitting good flays, if you're getting good value out of that lantern and playing out of Fog of War, or bringing your jungler in from Fog of War, there's so much Thresh can do to just turn a game on its head, whether that's getting a lead in lane or turning around a team fight. So I am excited to see if Fatal Bloom is kind of able to bring CPX a lead here. Now, a bunch of bans thrown over to the solo lanes there. Sylas and Malphite both banned away. The Sylas ban usually signals the desire to pick Malphite, and so CPX respond with that. And they are going to get themselves the Ahri. Now, I don't like Ahri when Mel is up, because that's a really bad matchup in mid. It's bad enough that Mint could end up just taking the Mel mid and sending something else down bot.
Corky.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think that is going to be Corky bot and Mel mid. I think with what had been shown so far, the Mel bot made sense, but yeah, picking the Ahri when you see the Mel, just trust me, I had to play that earlier this season. I hated my life the entire game. You can never land charm if the Mel has a brain. That's basically how I see it. Now they do have at least one other skill shot with the Thresh that the Mel might want to reflect, but for the most part, that is going to be a good time for the Mel. It also feels like CPX banned away the Victor, which is like a counter to the Mel. Syndra's already off the table, so they didn't have great options, but I think this could be a game in which Albino Sunbear gets to feast on that champion.
Yeah, and then to finalize the last two picks is going to be Mint picking up the Jace and then CPX picking up the Poppy. I can kind of see how Mint wants to play this. They're really looking to try to just basically carry hard and just do as much damage as possible. This is like one of those games where it's like, hey, we have the Mel, we have the Jace, we have the Corky. Let's try to dominate our lanes as much as possible and win this game as quickly as possible, because we can't let Jinx get too fed, or at least Jinx get too far into this game. If Derizen is constantly landing the charms and the E, and they're finding the engages between the Cataclysm and the Cataclysm and the Keeper's Verdict to be able to single out certain people. Oh wow, we're already getting some dished out in the middle. We'll show them all just completely skips by them, but gets flagged, jumped on top of. Death Sentence gonna land. We'll show them all. Might be the first kill of the game. Is he gonna give it up? Yes, he does. Has to flash it, but Nasian gonna be able to secure the first kill, first blood going over to CPX.
And that's going to delay the clear from Will Show Them All. Really nice start for Nation. Did have to burn the flash to get the kill. So debatable if that's worth or if it would have been better to just give it to Fatal Bloom. Ooh, I wonder if this pause indicates that the Shyvana was lagging. It didn't look like lag. It looked like he was just tunnel vision on the ward and kind of ignoring the mid fight, but we'll see. That was very unfortunate for the Shyvana, but even if it wasn't lag, you know, that hook from out of vision. It was top lag, not jungle lag. It appears to be in the chat.
Top lag.
I mean, Soaz was the one who disconnected in the first game which resulted in Void filling in. And now that we're in game, it may just be time to wait for that Jace to come back. We'll see if it comes back pretty quickly. With any luck, he will be able to return and we'll just be able to get underway. But in the meantime, I do feel like CPX actually has a composition that overall I like a little bit more. I think they have a lot of ways to create the opening kill for Jinx. And I think if they're able to do so, DeBay should be able to take over these fights fairly handedly as long as he doesn't run into a chain CC from the other side. The engage options for Mint are somewhat limited. It's mostly the Leona. Shyvana can engage, but isn't like the snappiest solo engage, and so there's potential to turn on either of those engagers. And I think they really want to play poke, but Jace is just a bit of a question mark for me. I don't know how adept Soaz is at that champion. I think Poppy is a good pick into the Jace, and Jace is just a really hard champion to play. In my opinion, he's very difficult to pilot. And if you are proficient at him, he will get a lot of value this game in terms of the poke and being able to kind of brawl in those fights. But just finding the balance of poke and brawl on Jace is a really fine line, and it's very fun to watch.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be interested to see how well he does into Poppy. Poppy's been one of those champions that like I consistently feel is able to duel with Jace actually.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, especially with I think it's the steadfast presence. Oh yeah, steadfast presence.
Yep.
But the steadfast presence basically being able to negate a lot of that all in that he wants, as long as you're dodging a lot of those shock blasts. Honestly, there's not much that the Poppy has to worry too much about, because the moment that he can't get that engage and start dishing out the damage onto you, like Poppy can just immediately dish it right back. I don't see like you said, the Jace is just a weird question mark for me. Like, was that just kind of like oh yeah, like no, we're just picking something to pick something because we don't really know what to play into this right now? Because I think they picked the Jace into Poppy, so it's like, yeah, they were just kind of blind picking any top laner, and I was like, is that the most pickable blind pick?
Yeah, I think maybe part of it is they saw that Malphite was banned, and maybe Malphite is a even worse matchup for Jace, and maybe they thought that the Malphite ban opened up the Jace angle for them. I don't see Jace bringing necessarily what Mint needs to this composition unless he gets himself a pretty big lead. And again, into the Poppy, I don't love that. I think Jace, he can play lane, but he's gonna struggle to deal damage to those tanks. And the maybe if he's able to find poke onto the Ahri or the Jinx, because Mint has a lot of kind of angles of poke they can play from. If you have Corki, Mel, and Jace throwing their poke from those different angles, it's hard for the front line to block all of it, and it can make it hard for CPX to walk in. But I think he's a champion that needs to get himself a lead early on, and I'm just not entirely sure if that's going to be able to happen with the amount of punish that's available to both Poppy and Jarvan.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I was like, okay, Poppy Jarvan combination can actually cause a lot of damage in those fights, especially when you consider that, one, Mel can only reflect one thing. Like, she can't reflect every single thing that comes at her, and that shields passive. She got to choose it. Like, oh, are you gonna, I think she could deflect Keeper's Verdict. So it's like, oh, are you gonna deflect Keeper's Verdict? Are you deflecting the charm? You got so many things that you need to there's so many things that you need to do to be able to deter what's going on. But from what it looks like, we are having some technical difficulties for our top laner there. I believe it was Soaz. That had disconnected from the game a little bit earlier. We will be waiting for them to come back. So in the meantime, we will go ahead and kick this off to a break. Hopefully Soaz will be back very soon. Don't forget, the predictions are still up for about another 30 seconds. Let's go ahead and get those predictions in. Who is going to win this game 3? Will it be Mint or will it be CPX? We'll find out after this break once we come back. And with that, guys, we're right back into the game. Unfortunately, though, Soaz has disconnected. They are still going to continue this game out. And so Mint is going to try to play it to their absolute best that they can so they can continue to keep their playoff berth alive. So for right now, Mint is going to be playing without their top laner. Unfortunate, but I think that as long as, you know, they try to make things work in the other lanes, I think this will be okay.
They might be able to stall for long enough that things are playable. Unfortunately for them, it is a Jace up top. If that was something like, you know, like the Ornn or the Malphite that has CC value no matter what, I would have a little more hope. But Jace missing a few levels at the start is just rough. And for those not in the know, the reason the game must go on is that they are out of pause time. And so this would be a forced FF for the side of Mint. But they are choosing to play out the 4v5 instead of FFing and just hoping that the internet fixes itself. So yeah, I mean, there is a chance for them to hold on. They have a composition that has a lot of wave clear. And if, you know, if Mel can get a lead, we have seen Mel do unspeakable things in this league before. And this is a game that she has a lot of potential to do work in. But even worse for Mint maybe is that Nasian already has himself a kill in the jungle and is therefore able to get pretty aggressive in the early game.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so unfortunate now that you see that top laner is just there, because now we got Poppy basically proxying the wave for free and being able to just keep the wave pushing into this tower. So Stubby's just going to be able to just constantly push in. So it feels bad right now because without Soaz there to kind of deter this Poppy, eventually once Poppy starts to make their presence known on the map after basically getting a chance to free farm for a little while, this could start to feel really rough once it becomes a 4v5 situation.
And the one thing I will say that is good for Mint, not in this game, but just in the series, is they already got one win. And when it comes to tiebreakers, that win could be the difference between them, you know, making it or not, or just getting them a better seed going into playoffs. So the last game, even if Soaz is gone now, he was still able to do what he needed to, I think, help secure them that playoff spot. We'll have to see how some of the other games play out, I think, to get the final answer there. But Relics looking for Fatal Bloom. That Flay is just so good into Leona.
Nation, though, now looking for their next target, Flag and Drag, I think is going to come out, and instead, no, decides to use the Golden Aegis to be able to make sure that they don't end up getting caught out or take any more additional damage. You know, it's really funny that like Jarvan's EQ actually has names, guys. Obviously, they have names, but it's just Flag Drag. That's all we care about calling it. Oh, what? Look at that. Not too long later, here comes Soaz, a little bit behind, but 33 farm, not insurmountable to come back from. So right now, Stubby is gonna feel pretty good being 4 levels up on this Jace, but I don't think that that's gonna mean too much once the team fighting and stuff gets started.
Stubby wants to really make it hurt for Soaz. He might be able to just dive him here. If he lands that stun, I feel like the base damage from the Poppy could be high enough. But the catch-up XP is going to help Soaz here. And he is, you know, part range champion, so he is able to get a little bit of farm. There are some matchups that might feel even worse to be the level 1 champ in. And yeah, so far, he's been able to get 3 CS, which is more than some champions I think would be able to say in that situation. In the mid lane, it happened off camera, but both mid laners blew their flashes. Right now, Albino Sunbear playing pretty defensively. Oh, Relics.
Relics gets flayed back though and is going to be nearly taken out. The rocket plus the auto from Fatal Bloom going to be able to take his life, and that's another kill over to the side of CPX. But hold on, Ooh. We'll show them all. Doesn't want to continue the engage. It's really hard to Shyvana. Even with the rework, pre-6, it's still extremely difficult to go ahead and gank as her. She's so power farm heavy pre-6. And it's just like, all right, if she can't find anything, they're not going to be able to do anything. No. But we ended up missing a solo kill as DeRizen gets taken down by Albino Sunbear.
Nasian, you are a meanie. Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah, look at here. We're going to get the look.
Yep.
The deflected arm is going to lead to the snare into... Oh, man, that's so unfortunate. I hate that. I hate rebuttals so much.
I mean, my honest advice, if you're the Ahri in this matchup, is just don't throw the charm at Mel. Like, just don't even try.
Go for anyone else.
yeah, you try to charm other people. You can try. I mean, once you have 6 and you have someone else present, then you can ult at the Mel. And if you're right on top of her, then she really has like a difficult reaction time test for when you throw the charm. If you're right in her face, it's just you have to worry about getting EQ'd by the Mel. And so it's still a tough thing to do, but getting in Mel's face when you have someone else that can help reinforce you, then you have a chance at landing the charm. But until then, you kind of just have to try to take trades with your other tools.
Oh, that damage coming out of Stubby there, utilizing that level advantage that he has on the Jace. So, like you said, the base damages from Poppy absolutely hurt, and it showed right there. All they have is a longsword and a tier. So it's like, geez, Stubby just forcing Soaz off this tower the entire time.
Continuing to bully. Me personally, I don't know if I'd do that to a guy who was DC'd, but hey, CPX really needs this win. So they'll take the upper hand they can get, and not actually BM, but it just feels bad. We also saw Nation briefly looking for what could have been a dive, I think, while the Jace was still level 2 or level 3, but he called that off. Again, maybe felt remorse, maybe just saw a better play somewhere else. In any case, though, it is CPX up 2,000 gold and a first Drake here. Just one more kill that they picked up since they got that first blood, but the farm lead in top is probably a reasonably good chunk of that gold advantage they have right now.
And there we go. The ultimate being used by Abano Sunbear there, and constantly just putting the pause on this Ahri right now, and Mel just making it feel terrible.
Soaz stops the back.
Oh, and barely stops it. But it's gonna be able to do. There's no way as we'll show them all gonna drop in and take Stubby down. Soaz has been deterring this Poppy for so long. You may be 50 farm down, but you just need a little bit of help, and that's gonna be Shyvana right there. But hold on, rooted down is gonna be Relics. Flayed in into Bay takes the kill for themselves. The Jinx grabbing there first, but Nation now does find Albino Sunbear. It catches them off in the Cataclysm, trying to get the kills as we'll show them all. Has to just turn around, but Albino Sunbear gonna be able to land the snare. Can he get away? Flag drag drops in, flashes in on top of him at the end of the animation, and immediately gets taken down. And now that's going to be decently enough. 2k gold up already for CPX at 8 minutes. Fatal Bloom trying to flay into the box, but KTL trying to get some of the damage down, but the Bay wasn't even there. And so KTL gets to live with the barrier being used.
Fighting all across the map, this game has already turned into a banger. You saw a little bit of help can make all the difference in top, but it's also can in mid as Darrison is able to, well, Nation really gets the kill onto the Mel, punishing the flashless mid laner there. Those flashes are back up, so going to be a lot harder to kill the Mel now. But Nation is going to, be able to start trying to get out on the map and maybe influence this bot or top lane matchup a little more. I think that's the best thing to do as Ahri in this matchup is just get out of lane, cue the wave, get the minions, get out of there. Oh, see, you can use the charm on the minions. That's better than trying to hit Mel with it. That's acceptable.
Or maybe bait it out with the bait out the Fox, use the Foxfire to try to like bait the engage, so then she goes for the W, and then maybe you can get the charm. Like there's ways around it, but it's just like, damn, man, like right now this Ahri's not feeling good at the moment, but Mel it just need a lot more help. Oh, Death Sense is there, gonna land onto Relics. Relics has actually been getting caught out by a lot of these thresh hooks. Fatal Bloom able to land these quite consistently, and now we do have the Jace at level 6 on the top side, still 2 levels down, but it still feels pretty good for him because he was able to like get that help from Nation. Or yeah, get the help from We'll Show Them All. As Nation though is here, gonna land the Flay. Relics, don't tell me you're dropping your 3rd death here. You're not getting away. Nation gonna be able to utilize the
Okay.
Wait a second. Please rewind that.
Albino Sunbear go to jail for that.
Okay, wait a second. Hold on. We gotta see this. The Risen. hopping around. We'll show them all, looking like they're making the way, and instead gonna not. Oh my god, didn't even need the charm. That's insane. Spirit rushes in a triangle to be able to take them down. Derision gonna be able to secure that solo kill, and now it's 3,000 gold up for the side of CPX, really utilizing that top side lead, really utilizing the fact that they're constantly getting hooks onto relics and forcing this Leona back to the gray screen over and over and over again. This is looking insane for CPX, and even with Soaz, even though Soaz is, you know, obviously they had that disadvantage, I was still kind of expecting maybe, like, you know, Mint will be able to deter this a little bit more, but now it's like it's starting to roll away from them.
That mid lane matchup should just be unplayable for Mel. She should not die there. So that's really unfortunate for Albino Sunbear. I think just played too far up when he didn't have the rebuttal, and that gives Dares in that window to find that kill. Relic's also in a bad matchup down bottom. It just feels like CPX getting more counter pick value here.
Ooh, Super Mega Death Rocket not gonna land, unfortunately, but KTL would have definitely been forced to back no matter what either way. And I really like this. Debay this time, showing me as the caster, yo, you're wrong. I can play these traditional AD carries. 20 farm up against the Corki with a kill and 2 assists as well. We'll show them all can come down here to help deter away the pressure from Debay and Fatal Bloom, but it still doesn't matter when this Jinx is decently up ahead on top of this Corki. And Corki is one of those champions that, like, early game it feels terrible to fall behind on.
Yeah, a lot of his strength does come from his ability to, you know, Valkyrie in with that machine gun on, take a heavy trade in the early game, but the Thresh has been getting so much value into the Corki and the Leona alike that he hasn't really been able to live out that fantasy. Ooh, so is getting minion blocked. That could have been really bad if Poppy had the heroic charge up there, but instead, just going to use it to get a little bit of a trade. And despite being down 3 levels, so is trying to fight back to the best of his ability. Is almost 60 CS down, but I mean, that's just how it is when you come in at such a disadvantage to this game. And Dragon spawning should be the second one taken by the side of CPX. We'll show them all is here, has the ult.
Trying to see if they can see over the wall, but doesn't hit the Drake, so they know that they're on it. Pulled it out a decent amount, but he's gonna have to go over the wall. Bino, Sunbear, and Relics are here. Nation needs to be ready with that smite, and they go over. Red team's gonna be able to secure it, but now they're going in for the fight. Charmed up, getting over the wall, uses the Thresh hook to get away, but Derision gets, Fatal Bloom gets caught by the Solar Flare. Derision using the Spirit Rush to make sure that they get away. Dustin is gonna be able to land on the Relics. Relics taking on the low HP as they continue down the chase. We'll show them all now, looking for Derision. Derision nearly taken out, but the ultimate coming out from the Mel, gonna be able to help secure that little bit of damage. As We'll show them all going to be able to take out Ari, and they continue to chase. His Nation's going to be able to get a double kill. We'll show them all now being the sole member left alive is KTL, trying to chase him down with the shutdown going over to the Corki, as We'll show them all is going to drop, and they continue to chase. Jinx excited. Debay looking for the Corki, can't get any more damage. Fatal Bloom doesn't see the target, but instead they're going to back off. Fatal Bloom, I want to say, significantly better performance this time around, this week for them on this Thresh, as the bot lane, even though, yes, they lost their mid laner and their jungler in that fight, gave some decent shutdowns away as well. The Jinx is still in this backline going crazy, and we ended up missing it, but Jace gets 1v1'd in the top side, and Stubby takes it.
Stubby bullying even harder. And the question is, does Mint make playoffs if they lose? I think it depends partly on the outcome of some of the other games. It's kind of a complicated bracket because it could end up being, I think, a 4-way tie. So I still need to do the exact math on that. But CPX now up 5,000 gold, and they've got themselves 2 Drakes. And one compositional thing that we didn't really talk about is what the Shyvana's role is in this game. I feel like Shyvana kind of likes games where she can be fighting multiple melees at once, really getting value out of that, you know, multi-target Q and shredding health bars. And I feel like this is a game where it's a little hard for her to do that. Jarvan and Poppy both have easy ways out of a fight, or rather, Poppy can disengage people with the Keeper's Verdict. Jarvan can just flag and drag away. And so I do think it's a little hard for We'll Show Them All to live out the Dragon fantasy in this game, as Stubby.
Oh no, Stubby just looking for Soaz. Soaz forced the flash, able to push away, but now Derision forced to use the Spirit Rush as KTL looking to try to chase, does have one more charge left as it goes unstoppable, going over the wall. We'll show them all, using the Dragon Fury to chase down Derision. Derision, though, gonna be nearly taken down, gets the charm on the We'll Show Them All, but trapped in the Cataclysm is gonna be his life taken as We'll Show Them All gets taken down by Nation, and now continuing the chase is KTL. Flag drag, gonna knock him up, and KTL giving over the double kill. That's Nation on the jaw. Jarvan able to get 2 kills in the bottom of that fight. You may have lost your mid laner, but now this 7-1-1 Jarvan is not what you want to see. Solar Flare gonna land on the Fatal Bloom. Fatal Bloom able to use the flash to get away, lands the death sentence, uses the box and keeps him in as they deliver that kill for free over to the Bay. This Jinx now 3-0-0, well ahead of the Corki, and this is not looking good for the side of mid.
No, it is not. The 3-0 Jinx is exactly the antidote to that Mel because her damage is so consistent. Oh, hold on. Gets rooted under turret, but not enough damage to finish off the kill.
Use
and
the
yeah,
lantern.
the lantern from Fatal Blooms. He's been getting great value out of the lanterns and the death sentences and the flays all together. Ooh, Nation having a rough 1v1.
Drag gonna knock him up. The Bay is now here, and now we'll show them all surrounded by 3 members. Yeah, you got the shutdown on the Thresh, but now Stubby gonna be able to get another kill onto your jungler. That's gonna be a 1-for-1 between 2 different fights, but still 5,000 gold up for the side of CPX. They are feeling very good in this lead, and they are not worried at all.
CPX, they are, yeah, 6,000 gold ahead now. We've got a minute on the next Drake. Herald is also being taken there as Darrison looks for the fight.
Ooh, and that's nearly Derisen, almost taken down. KTL needs to use the charge to be able to get him. Foxfire going to be able to land a decent chunk of damage. Even if Derisen falls here, Red Team was able to secure the Rift Hill. That's another objective over to the side of CPX as they are still commanding the lead on this map. 6,000 gold up. It's really hard to come back from something like this unless you can get some massive shutdowns. You got to find that Jinx you got to find that Jinx mispositioning. But the Bay has actually been pretty good with their positioning throughout this entire series in general, so it's really hard to actually get on top of them when they're constantly staying out of the range of the Zenith Blades. And it's also Fatal Bloom able to knock away those Zenith Blades and those engages away from everyone. The only one that can really do anything and engage on top of them is the Shyvana, because they can go completely unstoppable, and even then you still have so much protection for this Jinx off on the backside that they just choose to keep going for Derisen over and over. It's actually kind of is tragic to watch how this fight. This time though, Solar Flare gonna be able to land as the snare lands down on the Fatal Bloom, uses the box to go ahead and deter them any further away. Death Sentence goes wide, but the slow gonna land on the relics, and now they're looking for additional targets. Flag drag, not going to be able to get it. TP coming in, as we'll show them all, is on top of the TP ward. We do see now Poppy here looking for their next target, does see relics, but decides to turn around as the Iron Ambassador not going to be able to get the lands the buckle onto the Mel, but not anything else. The Drake now looking like it's going over to the side of CPX once again, as though Stubby gets locked down, but once again the lantern is there to make the save. But a big objective bounty steal from Will Show Them All is able to secure that Ocean Drake, stopping the Drake stacking from the side of CPX. Yes, you lose your life, but nicely done to keep them away. And for some reason, even though they're 4-0, the Bay is only on a killing spree, which is really interesting. But hey, that's okay. Flag drag forces the flash out of Nation as KTL is looking for the Fatal Bloom, but doesn't lose their life as they do lose it to the Mel Ultimate. But the Super Mega Death Rocket gonna be able to land onto the Leona, taking her out. Double kill over to the Bay as the Jinx goes absolute rapid fire. Get excited, the towers are dropping, and this game already looking so much for the lead of CPX, and this time it's looking like they are the ones that's gonna be able to potentially say great series, as we're looking for the as they're looking for these towers and more objectives and more gold to build into their lead. I love this from CPX, that they did have the advantage up in the top side, but that means it was more on the onus of the rest of the side of Mint to mitigate until their top laner got back. And even with that, they weren't able to win out in the lanes either for each of the lanes. Yes, it's a 1-3-5 to 3-4-2 for the Mel, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. The KDA, the mid laners, doesn't tell the story of the whole game when you start looking at the rest of the map.
I just need to talk about how KTL just Valkyried in to try to finish off Thresh and immediately died there. That was really over-aggressive from the Corki, just trying to get any sort of gold. And Thresh doesn't even have a shutdown at this point. Thresh almost on par with Soaz in terms of levels as well. Feels like that could be a winnable 1v1. I think the Mel on Albino Sunbear is the main champion that can kind of keep things even for the side of Mint. But even then, you know, RE can get so much value picking off other players around the map. everywhere is winning for CPX. They got the ace there. They did lose the dragon, but with the Herald and the Jinx, they were able to explode multiple turrets in mid. They were able to get even more in bot and top as well. And so they are approaching that 10,000 gold lead mark, which is where I feel like things tend to feel really unwinnable for the other side. And it's not even 20 minutes yet. So yeah, while we can say, there was a disconnect in the top side, every other lane went pretty darn well for CPX as well. And yes, there's, the vacuum of pressure on the map that kind of creates that. It changes how the junglers play and stuff. But again, I feel like there were kills happening in CPX's favor that did not need to go their way if Mint was trying to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, and now it's like they needed to pick these smarter fights, even though like usually when you're in desperation moments like this, sometimes it is better just to fight until you find something that you can potentially get an advantage on. But now when they're invading into your jungle, the box is going to be used. Had to use the ultimate to be able to get away, but with the Cataclysm, now you're all trapped up in Charm. The Bay is now dominating as the Super Mega Death Rocket able to kill. The prediction death sentence into your death sentence for Mel. They get taken down. A Solar Flare gets used, but there is no KDA to be added for you, Leona, as you stay so 6-0. 2 members drop for the side of Mint, and the Baron is now the target for Conduit Esports Phoenix.
Oh, and Soaz might be the target too.
Oh no, Soaz looking like he's gonna lose his life. Stubby looking for him though. Soaz that can barely get themselves away, gets the shock blast off, and I think it's just let's just stop him, stall him out, even if you can't get him to, can't get the kill. Go ahead and stop him. We get the Baron. We're 10k gold up. It's 20 minutes into the game. I swear if they manage to make this a 53-minute banger somehow, I don't know if I'm gonna. I'll probably end up screaming.
That would be painful if CPX manages to throw this even just a little bit. They have the 10,000 gold lead with Baron. I would expect this game to end by the time that Baron is out. It's really a miracle for Mint if it goes any other way. And so, yeah, I mean, it's starting to feel like a very likely GG. There is still some potential for Mint to find a pick. Mel landing some big damage over the wall on the Leona lockdown. It's just, even if you do that, I feel like any champion other than Thresh on the side of CPX can carry a fight. And the same is not really true for Mint's composition right now.
I think, like, for Mint, if anything, like, again, they just needed the lanes to stay stable until Soaz came back. And if you just shove Soaz into the side lane, it's like, okay, cool, he's in the side lane, he has to take the losing lane. Like, when you play a carry like Jace, you're looking to win the lane, but unfortunately, he has to play losing as a carry. So, it would have been just, hey, put him in the side lane, hope that he can actually get something. Like right here, we're hoping that Soaz can go in, but instead it's going to be Nasian taking his life, going unstoppable on this 10-1-6 Jarvan. Fatal Bloom, that was a very interesting hook, but, Relics isn't exactly the target you want to look for. As the flash comes out, Zenith Blade, but the flag going to be able to stop from getting onto the Bay, as the Bay is now just able to free fire from the backside as the rockets go through. Super Mega Death Rocket going to land onto the, we'll show them all as they take the kill, and that's going to be the 7th kill, or the 8th kill for the Jinx, as this is looking like the final fight. The Riz is going to be able to take out Albino Sunbear. No members drop from the side of CPX, and like you said, this game will probably be over by the time the Baron is done. It's looking like it'll be well before that. The mid-tier 3 drops, the mid inhibitor drops, the Baron empowered minions are barreling into the lane, and Soaz was the sole member left alive from the side of Mint, and now it is no longer anyone left alive. Good game, great series for the side of CPX, as they could say it this time, and now they tie it all up and making playoffs look absolutely crazy.
Yeah, we're going to a big tiebreaker situation. I think it's four teams, maybe 5. I haven't been keeping up with the results as they roll in because we have been locked in on these games, but it's been a banger of a series. I think the first 2 games were quite exciting to watch. It's unfortunate for Mint. I would say it feels bad if they do miss out on playoffs off the back of this game, which has that big asterisk around the disconnect. That said, I do think Conduit Esports did just play better in the remaining lanes, and even given the DC, I think they had a composition that could deal with what Mint was bringing to the table.
And so and right now, like, unfortunately we don't have the stats, and I do like seeing that we got these people joining in at the end of this series, because this series was absolutely insane. We had both teams stomp each other literally one game after the other, and then this next game became an absolute stomp again off the back of like kind of that disconnect that was there. And I do feel bad for the side of Mint, because it would have been very interesting to see how this Poppy into Jace matchup went. But with the way that Poppy, it felt like Stubby was playing the Poppy, it just, damn, man, they felt real confident in that. And once they knew they had that level advantage, once they had that, it just kind of fell apart. And I think it wasn't just the top lane falling apart. I really do think that potentially even the mental for the side of Mint fell apart once they saw that Poppy was 60 farm up and, you know, sitting there 4 or 5 levels up. It just was so unfortunate to watch for them. And I really wanted to see like a true like game here. Like I said, I called the 53-minute banger. Like that's what I was kind of expecting for us to have here in a game 3. But instead we ended up unfortunately getting a 24-minute banger that ended up being more of a stomp on the side of CPX. And now it throws the entire league into a whole freaking craziness standstill, because now we're looking at a 4 to 5 team tiebreaker. Like that to me is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll through here to see how some of those other games went. So we have TSI 2-0ing MFF. Okay, MFF was already out, but TSI I think is guaranteed in off of that. Dorado Iota beat Apex, which puts them also in striking distance, but not guaranteed in. They're part of the tiebreaker though. And then Conduit has their win.
Lord help
So
us.
I okay. So Dorado Iota is 4-3 match score and 8-8 game score. Conduit Phoenix is 4-3, but they have a 9-8 game score, which I think might just give them the edge there because TSI also won.
Yeah.
And then and so Mint TTT is also going to be 9-7. So I think that settles it as TSI, Mint, and CPX as a 3 that make it. And unfortunately for Dorado, the tiebreaker. I mean, I'm not. I will need to get official confirmation on that, but from what I can see based off these match results right now, I think it's Dorado who's unfortunately getting edged out on the game score, unless they've changed things to make head-to-head matter more, which I don't think is the case when you have these big tiebreakers like that. I think for CPX, I think they did make it. Oh, yeah.
They are just barely there, I think. It's like, I think they have to go through one of the tiebreakers. Okay,
So we have.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems to be. Yeah, so it's 10-6 for TSI, right? 9-8 for Mint, 9-8 for Conduit, and then 8-8 for Dorado.
This is gonna be a this is a
Oh
mess.
yeah, so okay, so no, it is a Mint versus CPX tiebreaker for that 4th spot then. And CPX has the head-to-head. If I'm not mistaken, I think that means CPX and TSI are going to be the 2 that make it. I think that's how it's going down.
Okay, well, I'm sure we'll get the official announcement, whether or not like exactly like how that breaks down, hopefully in the next like day or 2. But for everyone, like honestly, after those games, CPX, good job to, you know, to be able to take that game 1 so that you guys could be here for that game 3 to happen. And so I like seeing it, the call out chat from Conduit Esports. They're saying it's a miracle run, and you know what? I like to see that. I like to see one of those things. I want to see like that, you know, like that, and like, I want to see someone try to make that almost like that NRG style run from a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to see some craziness go on tonight. So you guys, again, thank you everybody who joins in on these streams. Again, we cannot be Titan Esports without the audience, without the players, without the casters, without production. So Sheragorn, thank you so much for being, or Sheragon, thank you for so much. I always say Gorn for some reason. I'm thinking Lord of the Rings. But anyways, thank you. Thank you guys so much for everybody being here. Thank you, production, for being able to make sure that us as casters are able to bring these great games of League of Legends and bring them to life for the audience out there. Freedom Potatoes, thank you for joining me on the casting desk so that we can show that we have the know-how to be able to, cast these games and give people the excitement that they're looking for. So don't you worry, guys. We still, I believe, got one more week before we actually start looking into playoffs. So I think we do have week 7 left. So if I'm correct,
I think this was week 7 just now.
is this week 7?
This
Oh,
was,
okay,
this was week 7.
Okay,
so
I
I
looked
think
at the wrong.
we're going right.
I was looking
right
at
to
something wrong.
playoffs,
It said
yeah.
week 6. I was like, why did it say week 6? Okay, you know what? Never mind, guys. We're good. So we are going right into playoffs after this. So you guys do have an exciting time coming up. So remember, don't go anywhere. Titan Esports is here to stay, and you guys are very much welcome to always keep coming back for great League of Legends that we bring here every single week. Once the playoff schedule gets going, you guys will be seeing when those games are up, and get ready because it's going to be an absolute banger of a time in a season, and I can't wait to be able to do this. So once again, guys, thank you again, Freedom Potatoes. Thank you again, production. Thank you again, audience. We can't wait to see you guys again here at Conqueror League on Titan Esports. It has been a beautiful Wednesday night, and if you can say it with me, give me a say yes, sir, because I'm ready for these playoffs. We'll see you guys again, hopefully next week, if not the week after. Peace out.